Chapter 566. To the officers in the military, international assassin, and secret agent organizations were untrustworthy. The words that came out of their mouths were not convincing at all. Moreover, Gu Junjian was the only one who applied to the higher-ups. Of course, the higher-ups would not agree to it. Negotiate. Yun Jian raised her eyebrows and pursed her beautiful red lips. Yes, the main reason why the higher-ups didn't agree to my application is because they don't trust you. Yun Jian, you have to understand. After all, you're just an advanced special forces soldier. You're considered a newbie. The higher-ups have to consider the big picture. If they can't provide absolute proof that an Hun organization and kosher mercenaries can abide by the agreement and cooperate with us, and won't bite us, then the higher-ups will have to consider the bigger picture. It's hard to convince the higher-ups with just your words alone. Gu Junjian nodded and explained. However, this was also the truth. After all, the higher-ups had to consider the big picture. Without absolute proof that the people in the military could cooperate with an Hun organization and kosher mercenaries, they naturally wouldn't agree to such a dangerous thing. After all, Yun Jian was just a newbie. Her words were not convincing. Between a newbie and the big picture, the higher-ups naturally chose the latter. An Hun organization and kosher mercenaries can just come forward? Yun Jian raised her eyebrows and asked again. It's best if it's the higher-ups, Gu Junjian said again. If the higher-ups of an Hun organization and kosher mercenaries came forward to ask for instructions from Gu Junjian's higher-ups, then the result would be completely different. After all, Yun Jian was just a little girl. She herself was still a child. The higher-ups were worried about how she could guarantee that an Hun organization and kosher mercenaries would cooperate with the military and wouldn't go back on her word and kill the people in the military. This was indeed a problem worth thinking about. At this moment, if there was someone in the know who coincidentally heard Gu Junjian's words, they would probably laugh out loud on the spot. The two leaders of an Hun and kosher mercenaries were standing in front of Gu Junjian. If they didn't rebel, who in the organization would have the guts to go back on their word and bite the military? Yun Jian frowned slightly. For the time being, she did not want to expose her identity in front of Gu Junjian. Furthermore, Ce had said that he could help her destroy the Inferno Ring directly. Yun Jian really didn't want Ce to help her with this matter. She could accept Ce and Gu Junjian's help. After all, the kosher mercenaries had yet to recover from the extermination of those old fogies. However, Yun Jian did not want Ce to exterminate the Inferno Ring for her. The Inferno Ring owed Xiao Yunju. She, Yun Jian, wanted to replace Xiao Yunju and take back the Inferno Ring bit by bit. How could she let those people from the Inferno Ring leave this world so easily? This was letting them off too easily. However, at this moment, she did not expect that Gu Junjian's men would not be able to help her. Yun Jian knew that the Inferno Ring was not weak. Hence, even after borrowing the manpower from an Hun and her own kosher mercenaries, she still felt that it was a little insufficient. However, she did not want Ce to lend her more manpower. After all, an Hun also needed turnover. She knew that Ce doted on her. But she did not want to become a woman who relied on men to grow up. However, she knew that there was someone behind her. He would always be standing behind her. Hence, Yun Jian dared to exterminate the Inferno Ring so boldly, under the circumstances that her own kosher mercenaries had yet to recover. Let me settle this matter. At this moment, Ce's mellow voice sounded. His tone was as if this matter was as easy as sesame seed dust to him. Chapter 567. Yun Jian did not want to expose her identity, and none of the kosher mercenaries were with her. Qingyu had gone home for the new year while Snake, Lizard and Tiger, Leopard were in the organization. It would take some time for Snake, Lizard and Tiger, Leopard to come over. Yun Jian could not afford to wait. Her original plan was to have Officer Bao's men and Snake, Lizard's men to guard F Province, and wait for the Inferno Ring to walk right into their trap. She would go straight to the Inferno Ring's headquarters and catch them off guard. Considering that Bai He and the rest held a high position in Inferno Ring, the organization would naturally pay attention to them. However, Gu Junjian said that the higher-ups did not allow the military to help. Unless the higher-ups from an Han group and kosher mercenaries came forward, Yun Jian would not be able to provide the manpower. Ce said that he could do it. This made the astute Gu Junjian frown again. It was shocking enough that Yun Jian knew the people from an Han group and kosher mercenaries. Now Ce said that he could solve this problem? Young man, you're skilled, but can you really get the higher-ups from an Han group and kosher mercenaries to come here? Gu Junjian doubted this point. It was not that Gu Junjian looked down on Ce, but what he said was truly shocking. Gu Junjian only found out after sparring with Ce that he, an old man who had been in the military for more than 10 years, could not even last one move against him. This matter put Gu Junjian in a difficult position for quite a while. Gu Junjian observed carefully, and saw the slight frown on Yun Jian's face when she heard that he wanted to get the higher-ups from an Han group or kosher mercenaries to come for a discussion. He thought that Yun Jian could not get them. It wasn't that Gu Junjian doubted Yun Jian or Ce, but the fact that Yun Jian knew someone from the Han organization and the kosher mercenaries was already shocking enough. As for the higher-ups, how could she come into contact with them? 20 minutes at most, Ce said as he raised his wrist and looked down at the black watch on his wrist. What? Gu Junjian didn't understand and asked in a daze. The higher-ups of an Han will be here in 20 minutes. Ce glanced at his watch and took out his phone to send a message. Once the message was sent out, Adam and Mo's son, who had followed him to Longmen City, would rush here immediately. This, Gu Junjian was very surprised. You can take us to the leader's office first. We can talk face to face. Ce turned his handsome face to Gu Junjian. Gu Junjian glanced at Yun Jian and finally nodded. Okay, come with me. The leader's office. As the largest military training camp in Jia province, this was no doubt where all the higher-ups of the military were stationed. Gu Junjian held a high position, but his jurisdiction was different from these leaders. These leaders were one rank higher than Gu Junjian and could be considered as the highest executive officers in Jia province. Gu Junjian was just one step away from being promoted. However, Gu Junjian's jurisdiction was different from theirs. It was difficult for Gu Junjian to be promoted. The leaders were still discussing Gu Junjian's request to mobilize the military to work with an Han organization and the kosher mercenaries to annihilate Inferno Ring. That Gu Junjian must be possessed this time. He's been a military officer for so many years after all. How could he listen to a newbie this time? One of the leaders said angrily. I've heard of the newbie as well. She's called Yun Jian, right? I heard that she's been on 2 missions. She must be a confident young lady. She must have no idea how dangerous the world is, and how she could be deceived by assassin organizations like an Han organization and the kosher mercenaries. Another leader sighed. What makes you think that I've been deceived? The door to the office opened as Yun Jian and Ce followed Gu Junjian side by side. Yun Jian spouted arrogant words as soon as she entered. Even Gu Junjian did not dare to say such words that sounded disrespectful to his superior. Chapter 568. To be honest, Yun Jian was his subordinate. Gu Junjian's heart skipped a beat when he heard Yun Jian's reply after she entered the room. After all, even Gu Junjian himself did not dare to say such words. The few officers present were shocked when they heard Yun Jian's arrogant words. You're Yun Jian. The officers were not stupid, and one of them immediately asked. Yes. Yun Jian replied generously. Then, she crossed her arms in front of her chest and displayed her kingly aura. You said you weren't deceived? Young lady, you're young and I've read your information. You're Yun Jian, and you're just a child from an ordinary family. Let me ask you, how can you guarantee that powerful organizations like an Han organization and kosher mercenaries will cooperate with our military and not bite us in the end? A tall and burly officer with a square face asked Yun Jian. This officer's surname was Lin, and he had a lot of influence in the military. The reason why Officer Lin spoke up was purely because he did not dare to take the risk. Who in the room did not want to destroy the Inferno Ring? The group of officers present were all executive officers of Jia province. In Jia province, they were at the top of the hierarchy. However, in Country Z, they were only one of the officers. The previous officer, Officer Yuan, was the officer of F province, and had the same status as Officer Lin and the others. However, if they could destroy the Inferno Ring, they would become famous internationally. Because with the power of an Hun organization and kosher mercenaries, they would not use such despicable means to destroy you. Yun Jian's following words hit the nail on the head. An Hun organization and kosher mercenaries, no matter which organization it was, were both world-class organizations. Both of these organizations possessed an existence that was comparable to the military power of a country. With such status, what reason would they have to use such underhanded means to destroy the military of Xia province? Officer Lin fell silent after hearing Yun Jian's words. He didn't say a word. He only looked at Yun Jian with a gentle gaze. No matter what Yun Jian said or did, he would do it even if she wanted him to suck the water dry in the sea or pluck all the planets and moons from the sky. If the higher-ups of an Hun organization or kosher mercenaries come forward to negotiate with us, we will agree to it, Officer Lin said after thinking for a while. That's what you said. At the door, two tall figures walked in again. They were Adam and Mo, Senator Translator, WQL Editor. Alim CE had just called Adam and Mo Senator since the call had been connected. Adam and Mo's son had figured out what was going on from the loud voices. After Adam entered, he said arrogantly to Officer Lin and the others, I'm Adam, the leader of the Hun organization. He's Mo Senior. CE's subordinates had always been direct and decisive. Their personalities were similar to CE's. Hun organization's leaders Adam and Mo's son? At this moment, Officer Lin, who was sitting in his seat, suddenly shouted in shock. All the officers in the room stood up in shock. They originally only wanted Yun Jian to call the higher-ups of an Hun organization or kosher mercenaries over. There were 20 to 30 people in the higher-ups of an Hun organization and kosher mercenaries. However, Adam and Mo's son were the top figures of an Hun organization. There were 4 people in charge of an Hun, while Adam and Mosin were the ones who followed the most mysterious leader of an Hun. These 2 people could undoubtedly hold half of the decision-making power of an Hun organization. However, this wasn't what shocked Officer Lin. It was that Adam and Mo's son would only follow the leader of an Hun organization and listen to his orders. This wasn't a secret in the underworld. There were even rumors that meeting Adam and Mo's son was the same as meeting the most mysterious leader of an Hun organization. Officer Lin and the others looked at CE in shock. At this moment, he was the only person who fit the role of the leader of an Hun organization. Chapter 569. In spite of it, Chief Lin and the rest quickly retracted their gazes. How could they be sure that a terrifying figure like an Hun's leader would show up here if Adam and Mo's son were the only ones here? It was rumored that an Hun's leader was even more mysterious than slaying God, who ranked first on the secret agent ranking. The man in front of them was at most 20 years old. To convince everyone present that CE was an Hun's leader, Adam and Mo's son had to admit it themselves. You two, are you really an Hun's leaders, Adam and Mo's son? Chief Lin and the rest had obviously ruled out the possibility that CE was an Hun's leader. From their point of view, it was hard to say if Adam and Mo's son were really an Hun's leaders. How could they prove that they were really an Hun's leaders? You don't believe me? Adam guffawed and took a step forward, glancing at CE from the corner of his eye. After receiving CE's gaze, Adam understood at once that he did not want him to acknowledge him. Adam then took out a phone from his pocket lazily. His mature and handsome face made Chief Lin and the rest's hearts skip a beat. Since you don't believe me, I'll prove it to you. Let's see if you believe me when I, and Hun's headquarters, fire a missile and blow up Longmin City's downtown. Adam did as he said and made a call. Adam and Mo's son were men who followed CE. They could tell from CE's gaze what their young master wanted them to do. Adam was a hot-tempered man. He wanted to show them some proof when he heard Chief Lin's distrust. Hey! No. I believe you. Who would make it sound so easy to fire a missile? Who else could it be other than an Hun's leaders? Chief Lin was startled, as he quickly stood up from his seat to greet them. Regardless of whether Adam was telling the truth, Chief Lin dared not take the risk. After all, the people living in Longmin City's downtown area were all civilians. Even if Adam was joking, Chief Lin dared not risk the safety of the civilians with something like this. As soon as Officer Lin spoke, the other officers also began to agree. After all, if Adam and Mawson weren't really from Anhun, they wouldn't have acted so arrogantly. Well then, officers, let's have a pleasant cooperation. Yun Jian stepped forward with a smile. Her lips curled up slightly as she spoke in a relaxed manner. With Adam and Mawson's actions, Officer Lin and the others finally agreed after some contemplation. I finally know why Officer Good trusts you so much. Little girl, you win. Officer Lin finally let go of her hand. It had to be said that Yun Jian was very good at seizing opportunities. Officer Lin and his men had never seen a young girl like Yun Jian. Of course, there was another reason why he had agreed to Yun Jian's request. It was because of CE. Their intuition told them that this man was not simple. Officer Lin had good eyesight. He had clearly seen the exchange of glances between Adam and CE. But the military can't send a lot of men to you. At most, we'll send 10 groups of advanced special forces members. This was the most Officer Lin could give. They needed manpower in the military as well. Each member of the advanced special forces had the ability to fight against 10 people. 10 groups of advanced special forces members meant that each group had at least 7 people, and at most 10 people. There were about 100 people in total. That's enough. Thank you. Yun Jian nodded with a squint and looked at Officer Lin and the others, continuing to brag. I'll let all of you know that trusting me is the best choice you've ever made. Once Inferno Ring was eliminated, Zhe Province's military would attract the world's attention. As for Officer Lin and the others, their blood was boiling. This young lady was crazy. Chapter 570. Yun Jian's frivolous words sent a jolt through the commanding officers present. Of course, none of the officers present would be participating in this mission. However, since they had allowed Gu Junjian to send 10 teams of advanced special forces to assist her, this lineup was more than enough for Yun Jian. After all, her Kosha mercenaries and Anhun organization were the ones who would be fighting the main battle. Although the military personnel were useful, these 100 or so advanced special forces members were comparable to 1,000 ordinary people. In addition, they would be able to tie down some people in the fight against Inferno Ring. This way, her Kosha mercenaries would definitely win. Yun Jian's lips curved slightly. After half a year of baptism, her coquettish face had become even more feminine. When she had just been reborn, this body was still skinny. After almost half a year, Yun Jian's body was now curvy and well-shaped. Especially when she breathed slightly, those proud breasts would contract under the thick clothes. This scene almost caused CE to have a nosebleed. This was the first time in his life that he almost had a nosebleed when he saw a woman. If he really had a nosebleed, Adam and Emo-san might have used it as a joke. CE quickly turned his head away from Yun Jian. However, above his handsome jawline, the handsome curve of his lips formed a line. Seeing CE smile, Emo-san, who was standing at the side and watching Adam speak, but didn't say anything, twitched the corner of his mouth. Emo-san had never seen his young master so expressive. Hence, a wicked smile appeared on Emo-san's mature face. Then we can go now. Gu Junjian pursed his slightly dry lips. At this moment, the surging emotions in his heart was something that he wouldn't be able to understand if it wasn't for him. To Gu Junjian, Inferno Ring, an organization that held absolute authority in the world, was like a hero who was suddenly going to do something big. To Gu Junjian, this was undoubtedly the most dangerous, yet most fascinating mission he had been looking forward to ever since he became an officer of the Advanced Special Forces. Okay. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. She then turned around and followed Gu Junjian out of the leader's office. Adam and Emo-san followed behind CE, protecting CE as she left. When they saw CE being escorted away by Adam and Emo-san, the group of leaders present heaved a sigh of relief. This man's aura was too strong. Even if he didn't speak, people could feel his strong aura. In less than half an hour, Gu Junjian gathered the 10 strongest teams of Advanced Special Forces members that he had selected to be in the military base. After the explanation, the 10 groups of Advanced Special Forces members were rather excited. Fear was mixed with a bit of passion and passion. They wanted to work with an Han and Kosha mercenaries to eliminate Inferno Ring. What a great honor this was. Yun Jian had just gone to Team Monarch to inform them. The members of Team Monarch were all newbies and were not capable enough to participate in this mission. Therefore, Yun Jian made her way here after informing the Team Monarch members. Ce had already brought Adam and Mo Sun back to Anhun to make arrangements. Of course, they left after bidding farewell to Yun Jian. When Yun Jian returned from Team Monarch's training ground, she saw Gejun Jian standing at the same spot calling out to her. Yun Jian, we're just waiting for you. Come over quick. At this moment, there were 5 buses parked beside Gejun Jian. Yun Jian nodded slightly and walked over. Officer Go, why is she going too? Just then, an unfriendly male voice was heard. It was obvious that this person had no idea what was going on. Chapter 571. The champ squad that Xiao Weiming was in, which was the group of advanced special forces led by Yu Fengcheng, was considered one of the best among the advanced special forces. That was why Xiao Weiming despised Yun Jian and the rest back then. Now, because of the previous mission, he had become enemies with Yun Jian's Team Monarch. After the previous mission was completed by the newbies Team Monarch, all the members of the champ squad were criticized and punished by Gejun Jian. Gejun Jian said that the oldest among them had been in the advanced special forces for decades, and even the youngest had been in the military for more than 10 years. In the end, they were worse than newbies. At that moment, Xiao Weiming's champ squad and Flying Dragon squad hated Yun Jian's team of 7 to the core. Of course, Xiao Weiming and the rest did not know that Yun Jian's team of 7 had gone to Province F, including what Yun Jian did in the leader's office just now. Xiao Weiming only listened to Gu Yunjian's brief description of what happened in the martial arts center in Province F. This time, the military was going to bring people to destroy the Inferno Ring. Logically speaking, in Xiao Weiming's opinion, a newbie like Yun Jian had no right to participate in this mission. Therefore, Xiao Weiming despised Yun Jian's appearance. However, Gu Yunjian's next sentence caused an uproar. Of course, Yun Jian was the one who contacted Anhun and Kosha mercenaries. If she doesn't go, how are we going to cooperate with Anhun and Kosha mercenaries? Gu Yunjian's words struck fear and astonishment into the hearts of everyone present. What? Yun Jian was the one who contacted Anhun and Kosha mercenaries? How is that possible? Anhun and Kosha mercenaries were 2 major assassin mercenary groups with immense strength. And Yun Jian actually knew people from these 2 organizations? How could Anhun and Kosha mercenaries work together with the army to eliminate the Inferno Ring? Gu Yunjian's words made Xiao Weiming, who had been bragging a moment ago, shut up instantly. Officer Gu, let's go. Yun Jian only thought that Xiao Weiming was ridiculous. She did not even look at Xiao Weiming as she walked over to Gejun Jian and spoke. All right. Gejun Jian nodded and called for everyone to board the 5 buses that had been prepared in advance. Xiao Weiming and the members of the champ squad, who were originally looking down on Yun Jian, stared blankly at her. It was only when Gejun Jian called for them to board the bus that this group of people blushed and followed him onto the bus. The 5 buses took a full 3 hours to arrive at the pier in Jia Province's Ning City. The headquarters of the Inferno Ring was located at Chaowan Pier in S Country. In order to travel from Z Country to S Country, one would have to pass through several countries by bus. Therefore, it was unrealistic to travel by car. Taking a cruise ship from the sea to Country S was the best choice. The group traveled for 2 days on the cruise before arriving at S Country. When they arrived at S Country, it was already 6 or 7 o'clock at night. After exiting the cruise, Yun Jian said to Gejun Jian seriously, as she looked at the bustling city illuminated by neon lights, "Let's find a hotel to rest first. We'll take action in the wee hours of the morning." All right. Gejun Jian nodded. Yun Jian, do you have to do this? Aren't you acquainted with Anhun and Kosha mercenaries? Why does Officer Ge have to listen to your orders? Who do you think you are? Xiao Weiming couldn't help but shout when he saw the girl he hated so much standing in front of him, as if she was flaunting her prowess. Chapter 572. Because I know people from the Hun organization and kosher mercenaries. Do you know them? If you do, you'll be the one to instruct them. Yun Jian glared at Xiao Weiming, giving him a look as if she thought he was an idiot. Yun Jian rarely used harsh words to mock others. However, Yun Jian was already annoyed with Xiao Weiming's constant buzzing like a bee. Xiao Weiming, who had been mocking Yun Jian earlier, was rendered speechless by Yun Jian's reply. Although Yun Jian was usually quiet, every word she said hit the nail on the head. Seeing that Xiao Weiming was suddenly intimidated by Yun Jian, a person who was neither from Champ Squad nor Flying Dragons who stood beside Xiao Weiming chuckled and mocked him. That's right. Haha. I didn't expect you to be so speechless by a little girl even though you're usually so amazing. This person obviously did not have a good relationship with Xiao Weiming. Humph. Xiao Weiming scoffed and walked away. Hee hee little girl, I support you. You're amazing. I'm always annoyed with Xiao Weiming. The man who helped Yun Jian rebuke Xiao Weiming smiled at Yun Jian. This person was Zhang Dali, a member of one of the 10 Advanced Special Forces teams that came to Country S. Yun Jian smiled faintly at him. Beep beep beep. Just then, the phone hidden in Yun Jian's pocket vibrated twice. Yun Jian reached out to answer the call. Good Yun Jian, and the rest did not know what Yun Jian had heard. They only thought that Yun Jian did not say anything. She narrowed her eyes slightly and smiled. She hung up the call after a while, and turned to look at Good Yun Jian, pursing her red lips. There's a change of plan. We're leaving now. Huh. The group of Advanced Special Forces members was at a loss. Follow me, Yun Jian said. By then, all the members of the Advanced Special Forces were fully armed. The battle with the Inferno Ring had begun early. They didn't wait for dawn to set off. Yun Jian wasn't with the kosher mercenaries, and she wasn't with an Hun either. Leading a group of Advanced Special Forces to the pier at the bend of the bridge, Yun Jian explained as they walked, unafraid that the people from Country S could understand Chinese. The original plan was for an Hun and kosher mercenaries to take the lead, but now it looks like we'll have to go first. The Advanced Special Forces were the vanguard. What kind of joke was this? As soon as Yun Jian finished speaking, someone couldn't help but shout. What? You want us to take the lead? The Inferno Ring was an international assassin organization. The assassins and agents of the Inferno Ring are all powerful. Are we not going to wait for the Hun and kosher mercenaries to charge in together? Yeah, what kind of joke is this? There are only 100 of us. So if we go first, wouldn't we just be throwing our lives away? Yun Jian, you're too much. Do you really want to lead us to our deaths? I don't want to die because of you. Xiao Weiming seized the opportunity to scold Yun Jian. Instantly, everyone started pointing fingers at Yun Jian. Xiao Weiming's smile became even more obvious. Just as Good Yun Jian was about to say something, Yun Jian suddenly shouted, All of you shut up! Among the 100 Advanced Special Forces, Yun Jian was the only female. Yun Jian's shout made everyone's heart skip a beat, and they all shut their mouths instantly. This was her aura. Her natural aura. However, the girl's next words were enough to shock everyone. Throwing our lives away? What are you afraid of with me around? No matter how powerful the Inferno Ring is, I'd like to see if they have the ability to hurt you in front of me. Chapter 573. Yun Jian's domineering aura stunned everyone present. What were they afraid of with her around? What did they have to be afraid of? Even a 16-year-old girl, who had just joined the Advanced Special Forces, was not afraid. What were they, a group of grown men, afraid of? For a moment, everyone was silent. Those who don't want to come with me, I won't force you. You can go back to your country now, be it on a cruise or a plane. I'll pay for the round-trip tickets. Yun Jian was already 1.6 meters tall, but standing in front of this group of Advanced Special Forces soldiers who were all 1.75 meters tall, she looked petite. However, she looked at the crowd. Her vision bypassed everyone. Under everyone's heated gazes, the aura she exuded was stronger than anyone else's. Yun Jian, Good Yun Jian, I'm not a coward. Since I've followed you here, I'll destroy the Inferno Ring even if I die. Good Yun Jian said proudly. His firm words resonated with everyone present. Yes, they were men. They were from Country Z, not cowards. They represented country Zhejiang province. It was their honor to have the opportunity to follow Gu Junjian to country S to destroy the Inferno Ring. There were many advanced special forces soldiers who wanted to come, but did not have the ability to do so. Yunjian narrowed her eyes. Looking at the passionate faces of the people present, the desire to do something big swept through everyone's body, corroding every cell in their bodies and sinking deep into their bones. You're a little girl, and you're not afraid of death. Why should we be? Little girl, whether we live or die, I'm going all out. My life is in your hands. Someone stood in the crowd and shouted, "That's right. I'm a real man. Why would I be afraid of the Inferno Ring? Even if I die, I'll die with honor." Another person stood out and shouted. With one or two people taking the lead, the rest followed suit. Their imposing words resounded through the air. Even the passers-by in country S, who did not understand Chinese, could not help but stop and look at the group of men suspiciously. In the end, the passers-by shook their heads and walked away in shock and fear. The passers-by couldn't help but think, "Are these foreigners crazy?" He actually stood on the side of the road and shouted loudly. Moreover, he was shouting at a little girl? What was he doing? The most important thing before a battle was the hearts of the people. As long as the hearts of the people were united, there was nothing that could not be done. Yunjian narrowed her eyes. She raised her eyebrows and her red lips curled up. She looked at everyone present, and finally said something to motivate them. "I'm here. I won't let you die. So come with me now." After Yunjian finished speaking, the group of people followed after Yunjian in an imposing manner. Xiao Weiming and the other members of the Champ Squad and the Flying Dragon Squad stared at Yunjian's back for a while with fiendish eyes. They had all received orders from their superiors to come to country S. If they ran away now, wouldn't they become deserters? What's more, they were here to eliminate the Inferno Ring. It was a mission that their superiors wanted them to complete. How could they just leave like that? Therefore, all he had to do was to keep his head down and follow. They took a cruise from the pier at the bridge to a holiday island called Tiny Island. Tiny Island? It was a beautiful holiday island. However, no one knew that it was also the headquarters of the Inferno Ring. Yunjian led Gu Junjian, and the rest directly around the mountain top of the island. They passed through steep cliffs that ordinary people could not climb, and arrived at the center of the island. There were steep cliffs all around them. The Inferno Ring was like a paradise that was situated in the middle of cliffs. Chapter 574. It was surrounded by steep cliffs. From the top, it looked like a canyon with a bottomless abyss. But from the bottom of the mountain on Tiny Island, it was overgrown with trees. Even if one were to look up from the surroundings of Taipei Island, one would not be able to see anything special about it. But Tiny Island was a very strange island. No one would have thought that there was a giant pit in the middle of this mountain that looked no different from other mountains. The headquarters of the Inferno Ring wasn't here before. But one time, a helicopter from the Inferno Ring happened to pass by the airspace of this small mountain range and discovered this place. The giant pit was overgrown with trees. Because the sun shone directly through the cliffs, the trees here grew especially well. And because Tiny Island was by the sea, but there was a lot of fresh water on Tiny Island, the Inferno Ring moved their headquarters here. As the saying goes, the most dangerous place is the safest place. The Inferno Ring must have thought so too. Is the headquarters of the Inferno Ring really in this godforsaken place? A large group of people climbed up from the bottom of the mountain with climbing tools, and finally landed in this giant pit surrounded by cliffs. This place was overgrown with trees. It was indeed a good place to hide. But at this moment, other than the occasional sound of insects, there was no other sound. Yunjian nodded. Then she put away her climbing tools and took the lead to walk forward. Yunjian, keep your voice down. This is the headquarters of the Inferno Ring. If you walk so loudly, the people of the Inferno Ring will hear you. You may want to die, but I don't. Seeing Yunjian strutting forward without hiding her tracks, Xiao Weiming couldn't help but shout. His words were filled with the fear of death. Yunjian ignored him. Gu Junjian thought that Yunjian had her reasons for doing so. Even though this tiny island wasn't big, This huge pit that was surrounded by cliffs and had no blind spots was still quite large when walking on foot. We're almost there. Yun Jian pressed her lips together and stroked the Browning pistol strapped to her waist before stroking the butterfly knife that was hidden in her belt as well. She walked forward confidently. She had picked out the Browning in the army before she left. Other than the butterfly knife, the weapon he was most used to using in his previous life was the American-made Browning pistol. Not long after Yun Jian spoke, everyone saw a large base appear in the cover of the large forest in front of them. This base was very similar to the houses they usually saw, but it was dozens of times bigger than the houses they usually saw. Yun Jian knew that in this base, everything was set up and mixed together. For example, the training ground for assassins, or the meeting room for the higher-ups of the Inferno Ring. Not only did Yun Jian know all this, she even knew that the meeting room of the Inferno Ring's upper echelons was located through the side door in the south. When she gestured with her hand, the ASF soldiers immediately understood that she was going to barge in through the south door. With Gu Junjian in the lead, the ASF soldiers stepped into the area closest to the south door without making a sound. Each of them held a gun with both hands and leaned against the wall of the base, waiting for Gu Junjian's orders. This was how the ASF soldiers usually did things. Just then, Yun Jian came straight to the south door in a high-profile manner. She kicked the door open amidst everyone's cries of surprise and F***CK. Simple and brutal. F***CK. What was Yun Jian trying to do? Everyone present could not help but gasp. How could she do that? If the Inferno Ring's people were alerted, wouldn't they all be dead? Just then, everyone saw Yun Jian standing at the south door. She stood there proudly and shouted arrogantly, "Job, get your ass out here with your Inferno Ring members." Chapter 575. It was not that Yun Jian had never seen Job before. When she was slaying God in her past life, she had attended an international assassin organization's gathering in disguise. However, she was with Snake, Lizard and Tiger, Leopard, so no one recognized her as the boss of the Kosha mercenaries. Moreover, she was young. Even if she had not been reborn, she was only 1 year older than her current body. She would be 17 years old after the new year. A 17-year-old slaying god, who ranked first on the international secret agent ranking? Even if she attended the gathering, no one would think of her as slaying god. In fact, Yun Jian was only 16 years old in her past life. Perhaps to many people she was still a child. However, she had been in the secret agent circle for 11 years. Her achievements were not more outstanding than others, nor were they more heaven-defying than others. She was afraid of death, so she wanted others to die first. However, this was not what the advanced special forces were concerned about. They did not know any of this. All they knew was that Yun Jian had lost her mind at that moment. The Inferno Ring was an assassin organization. They were here to launch a sneak attack and annihilate the organization. Although they did not discuss this beforehand, everyone knew that they were here secretly. Of course, they would have to sneak in. But what about Yun Jian? She even dared to kick open the door of the Inferno Ring? Was this a declaration of war? Yun Jian, come back. Since their whereabouts had been exposed, they were no longer afraid. Instead, they watched as Yun Jian stood at the south gate and kicked open the door. What if the people from the Inferno Ring suddenly fired at her without warning? Gu Junjian shouted out of concern. This was the Inferno Ring, an assassin organization that everyone feared. Yun Jian would die if she did this. Bang, bang, bang. Just as Gu Junjian finished shouting, the sound of machine gun fire came from the south gate. The continuous stream of bullets were fired from the south gate. Their target was Yun Jian, who was standing outside the gate. No. Come back, Yun Jian. Gu Junjian was scared to death. He quickly rushed to Yun Jian. He had to save Yun Jian even if he had to die. She's courting death. She doesn't want to live anymore. And now she wants to kill our officer Gu. Xiao Weiming roared at this time. Even at this time, he couldn't help slandering Yun Jian. The members of the advanced special forces gripped their guns tightly and were about to approach Yun Jian. However, just as Gu Junjian took 2 steps toward Yun Jian, before Gu Junjian arrived at the south gate where Yun Jian was, he saw Yun Jian curl her lips. In the next second, the Advanced Special Forces soldiers witnessed a terrifying scene. Yun Jian's body moved slightly to the side, and then her whole body fell to the side and rolled on the ground. He had actually dodged the barrage of machine guns. However, this was not the only thing that frightened everyone. The moment Yun Jian rolled, she pulled out a butterfly knife and a Browning pistol from her waist. She held the butterfly knife with the tip of the knife facing downwards in her left hand, and the pistol in her right hand. After she got up from the roll, she rushed toward the south gate like the wind. All they heard was Yun Jian's crisp command, "Go!" Just hearing Yun Jian's simple command, everyone was instantly pumped up. Plus, Yun Jian's actions just now. It would take more than 10 years of practice for someone to be able to move so quickly. She actually dodged the machine gun's barrage. Oh my god! Someone exclaimed. By the time everyone reacted, Yun Jian had already disappeared from the south gate. The base was huge. Seeing that Yun Jian had already rushed in, gunshots were heard from the house. Afraid that something would happen to Yun Jian, Jun Jian immediately led his men to the south gate. Just as they stood at the south gate and could see what was happening inside the base, a group of people suddenly appeared. What they saw was a large group of people lying in a pool of blood. The back of their hands was printed with the Inferno Ring's unique symbol, a golden rose. Chapter 576. If Jun Jian and the rest knew them, they would realize that the men lying in the pool of blood were part of the Inferno Ring's upper management. Entering the Inferno Ring's base from the south gate was the meeting room of the Inferno Ring's upper management. When Slaying God attacked, the Inferno Ring's upper management did not even have time to react before they were killed instantly. As for the series of machine guns that were fired after Yun Jian kicked open the south gate, they were fired by the Inferno Ring's upper management, who were on guard here. Unfortunately, they would never have imagined that they would die in the hands of a teenage girl. It was fortunate that Jun Jian and the rest did not follow them immediately. Otherwise, they would have witnessed an even more shocking scene. Yun Jian was holding a butterfly knife in one hand and a pistol in the other. Her series of killing moves were executed in one go. She loaded the gun with bullets in one hand and continued to kill without any hindrance with the butterfly knife in the other. She was using both hands at the same time. Who else in this world could kill everyone in a matter of seconds like Slaying God? At that moment, Yun Jian was already running up the stairs of the Inferno Ring's base and was heading toward the third floor of the large base. Her light footsteps did not make any sound as she stepped on the stairs. Jun Jian was smart enough to recover from his shock. He then waved his hand, signaling the Advanced Special Forces behind him to follow him. "Let's go." Jun Jian turned back and mouthed silently. Seeing that, the rest nodded and followed him. Entering the meeting room, they were greeted by a spiral staircase made of metal. Looking up from the bottom, they could see Yun Jian's nimble body jumping back and forth. She soon reached the stairs to the third floor. "Someone's here. Kill trespassers." By then, many members of the Inferno Ring had already noticed Yun Jian, who was on the stairs to the third floor. The group of foreigners started yelling. They immediately raised their machine guns and fired wildly at Yun Jian. Jun Jian was shielded by a large pillar, so the Inferno Ring members did not notice them. This base was separated by another room, so the soundproofing was quite good. Just now, in the meeting room, Yun Jian had ordered the Inferno Ring's upper echelons to be killed. However, in the Inferno Ring's base, no one had noticed that the upper echelons of the Inferno Ring were already dead. "Let's go too." Jun Jian wiped the tip of his nose with his hand. He gritted his teeth and was the first to rush out with his gun. Jun Jian and the other ASF soldiers were also wearing bulletproof vests. In other words, as long as they weren't shot in the organs or head from close range, they wouldn't die. At most, he would only suffer some minor injuries. The bulletproof effect of this bulletproof vest was quite good. Of course, no matter how good his bulletproof vest was, he couldn't be shot at close range by a gun. This was because once he was shot by a gun at close range, no matter how good his bulletproof vest was, it would not be able to withstand the attack of the bullet. Just as Gu Junjian and the others rushed out, the north gate of the Inferno Ring's base was also kicked open. The people who entered were all armed with machine guns. After entering, they fired wildly at the base of the Inferno Ring. Gu Junjian's eyes were sharp. He immediately recognized them. These people were most likely from the Han organization or the Kosha mercenaries. These people who came in from the north gate did not have any skull markings on them. It was obvious that they were from the Han organization. When an Han organization attacked, Gu Junjian and the others immediately found a place to hide. At the same time, they hid in the dark and helped an Han organization to shoot at the Inferno Ring. Chapter 577. The reason why Gu Junjian was certain that the people who rushed in from the north gate were from an Han was because the person who led them in with a silver pistol in his hand was Mo Senator. There were many people in the Inferno Ring's base, and these people's positions in the Inferno Ring could only be considered to be above average. Most of the top people in the organization were treated differently. Some of them were not even in the Inferno Ring's base. The group of people Yun Jian had killed was only a small part of the Inferno Ring's top management. Yun Jian was already on the stairs to the third floor and was about to turn the corner to go up to the third floor when she saw a person appearing in front of her from the corner of the third floor. When she saw that person, Yun Jian's furrowed brows relaxed. That person was none other than Ce, and Ce was striding towards her. Yun Jian was not surprised by Ce's appearance. She lowered her eyes, and her gaze fell on the person Ce was holding. Ce was holding a short man, who was completely naked except for a towel. Job. When Yun Jian saw this person, she gritted her teeth, and a murderous look appeared in her eyes. Yun Jian was standing on the flat ground of the spiral staircase. Ce walked over. He let go of Job, and threw the naked Job on the ground. Job looked like he had overindulged. It was not hard to imagine what he had been doing. Below the Inferno Ring's base, all of them had been killed. With the help of an Han and Gu Junjian's army, in just a few minutes, Job was the only one left alive from the Inferno Ring. Apart from Job, there was probably another one. No. I beg you. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. Sob, sob, sob. Just then, a naked woman with heavy makeup walked out of Job's room. She only had a towel around her, so she was not exposed. The woman's legs were numb. She trembled as she walked. But she was forced not to stop, because Adam was holding a gun to the back of her head. Adam looked away in disdain. He looked at the woman from the corner of his eye, and forced her to walk towards Yun Jian. It was not hard to imagine what Job and the woman had done in the room. When Adam and Ce entered the room, it was a mess and the smell was nauseating. Poor Adam had forced Job and the woman to separate them, and threw Job to Ce. Ce would vomit whenever he was near other women, so Adam had to do it for him. Ce then grabbed Job and walked out. Adam pointed his gun at the woman and forced her to leave. This was also the reason why Yun Jian had led the advanced special forces and rushed in first, and did not meet up with an Han. The call earlier was from Ce. Ce and Adam had infiltrated the Inferno Ring first to capture Job. He had asked Yun Jian to create a commotion in the Inferno Ring. The bigger the commotion, the better. The bigger the commotion Yun Jian created, the easier it would be for Ce and Adam to capture Job. It was obvious that after Yun Jian had rushed in, Job's bodyguards had all run downstairs. Job himself did not have much power. He relied on his subordinates to protect him. His most powerful subordinate was Tai Jingang. Without Tai Jingang, Job was like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. He had no power to fight back. Even Yun Jian found it strange. How could someone like Job become the leader of the Inferno Ring? Yun Jian had not been able to do anything to the Inferno Ring not because Job, the leader of the Inferno Ring, was powerful. On the contrary, Job was the weakest person in the world. The real power was the power that the Inferno Ring had accumulated over the years. At the same time, the Kosha mercenaries had been sent by Snake Lizard to eliminate the Inferno Ring. Chapter 578. Kneel! Adam roared as he pressed the muzzle of the gun against the woman's head again. Ah! No, don't kill me! The woman was so scared that she knelt in front of Yun Jian and CE without any dignity. At this moment, Gu Junjian and the rest had already walked out from the shadows. After exchanging orders with Ma Sen, they stood downstairs and watched everything that was happening on the third floor. They saw Yun Jian walking step by step towards Job, who was so scared that he was curled up on the ground. "Raise your eyes and look at me," Yun Jian hissed. As she spoke, she took out a blade and stabbed it into Job's thigh without another word. Chi! The crisp sound of the blade piercing flesh made Job, who was sitting on the ground trembling, howl. "Awoo!" Yun Jian laughed in disdain. She put away the gun and grabbed the butterfly knife in her hand. She then walked towards Job, and in a flash, she was right in front of him. At the same time, the butterfly knife in Yun Jian's hand was pressed against Job's neck. "Awoo! Who are you? Who are you? Does my inferno ring have a grudge against you? How dare you treat me like this?" Job's short body was curled up as he held his thigh tightly and rolled around on the ground. "Grudge?" Yun Jian laughed as she stabbed Job's thigh with the butterfly knife. Then she placed the blade that was stained with Job's blood on his neck with a strange smile. "What grudge? Hee, today I will slowly pull out your tendons, peel off your skin, and cut off your head. I will let you see with your own eyes how you die in my hands little by little." Yun Jian patted Job's face with the bloody butterfly knife. After speaking, Yun Jian stabbed Job's thigh again. Today she would take revenge for Xiao Zhu. She would let Job have a taste of how Xiao Zhu died in her previous life. She, Yun Jian, was never a weak person. "Owa!" Job howled again. At this moment, Job's forehead was covered in sweat as he howled. Why? Did I, Job, offend you? Little girl, what did I do to offend you? I beg you, spare me. You can take the inferno ring. You can take it. It's not mine anyway. It wasn't mine in the first place. If you want the inferno ring, then take it. Yun Jian's cruel methods made Gu Junjian and the others who were standing below feel their hair stand on end. Looking at how Yun Jian was stabbing Job's thigh with her knife, her vicious methods were not something a little girl should be capable of. But why did they see Yun Jian's deep hatred for the inferno ring and Job? Xiao Weiming was also trembling. How did he target Yun Jian in the beginning? Then at this moment he was very afraid of Yun Jian. This Yun Jian, how could she be so cruel? Ce, on the other hand, stood on the side, keeping his eyes on Yun Jian with a small smile on his handsome face. Yun Jian suddenly stood up. She stretched out her jade leg and stepped on the wound on Job's thigh. She tossed and turned. This action of rubbing salt on the wound almost made Job faint. In the end, he was awakened by Yun Jian's kick. Yun Jian looked at Job with an eerie smile. It's true that you've offended me. You shouldn't have kidnapped my younger brother and ordered Wolf Killer to coerce me into taking the sandalwood box. Yet, you guys killed him before I could even bring the box to you. So Job, you will definitely die today. She was not afraid of exposing her identity, because she wanted Job to die in shock and fear. She was going to flay Job and beat him up. She was even more ruthless in her previous life. This was her nature as a secret agent. Chapter 579. She was slaying God. Hearing Yun Jian and Job's conversation out of the blue, everyone broke out in cold sweat. Slaying God? Who else was there? Slaying God, who could make Inferno Ring's leader look so terrified. Other than the top secret agent in the International Secret Agent chart, who else could it be? Moreover, Yun Jian had said the same thing just now. Was Slaying God not the one who stole the sandalwood box back then? In spite of it, how could Yun Jian be slaying God? Slaying God? What? How's that possible? Oh my God, Yun Jian is slaying God. Is this a joke? How can this be? Xiao Weiming cried out, holding his head. The shock on his face could only be described as horror and bewilderment. How could it be slaying God? The top secret agent in the International Secret Agent chart. Slaying God? How could it be her? The person who was most surprised was not Xiao Weiming, Yu Fengcheng, and the other members of Champ Squad and Flying Dragons, but Gu Junjian, who stood at the bottom of the building. Other than Gu Junjian, Ce, Adam, and Mo Sun, no one knew about Yun Jian's background. Was she Qin Yiru's daughter? Gu Junjian had heard a lot of stories about Qin Yiru during his time with Qin Yiru. He had also heard a lot about Yin Jian's past and current changes from Qin Yiru. For example, before the third year of junior high school, Yin Jian's academic results were terrible, even at the bottom of the school. Somehow, from then on, Xiao Jian's personality and inexplicable skills had changed so drastically that it was astounding. Qin Yiru had suspected it as well. However, Xiao Jian was still the same. Moreover, Qin Yiru felt that Yin Jian's subsequent changes were all due to her weakness and incompetence. So Qin Yiru let it go. What shocked Gu Junjian the most was that if Yin Jian was slaying God, how could she be Qin Yiru's child, who had been raised at home for more than a decade? Of course, Gu Junjian didn't point it out. After all, there were so many people standing around. Gu Junjian only frowned slightly, but he did not say a word, nor did he say a word. Other than Ce, even Adam, Emo's son, and the members of an Hun that Emo's son had brought with him were in an uproar. Slaying God, slaying. No, no, no. It wasn't me. I didn't kill your brother. No. As soon as Job finished speaking, his small body tried to crawl to the side. His eyes were filled with fear. It's not you? Who could it be? Ha. Yin Jian stepped on Job's wound and moved with him. After 2 steps, she suddenly spoke and lifted her leg at the same time to stomp on Job's wound. You must die. I'll make you wish you were dead. Emo Sr. Just as Yin Jian said that, Ce looked up from Yin Jian and looked down at Emo's son who was standing downstairs. Emo's son got the hint and walked out of Inferno Ring's base. It was then that Gu Junjian realized what was going on. Adam and Emo's son were from an Hun group, but why were they standing beside Ce, waiting for his orders? Adam and Emo's son were the leaders of the Hun organization. It was rumored that the 4 leaders of Hun were Adam, Emo's son, Shueing and Linwei. The 4 of them had divided their work. Linwei was in charge of Hun's training of secret agents and assassins. Shueing represented Hun at various events. Adam and Emo's son followed Hun's leader. Wherever they were, Hun's leader would be there. Chapter 580. Could he be the leader of the Hun organization? The leader of the world's top assassin organization, that was scarier than the kosher mercenaries? Rumors had it that no one had heard of the leader of the world's top assassin organization, Hun. He did not have a code name. The world only knew that he was mysterious, even more so than the kosher mercenaries' boss, slaying God. An existence that was even more mysterious than slaying God. If the police saw him, they would have to give way to him, as long as the Hun organization did not invade their country's territory, let alone the Inferno Ring. Gu Junjian remembered that when he was first promoted to the Advanced Special Forces, he was told that there were 2 forces in the world that should not be trifled with. One was the Hun organization, and the other was the kosher mercenaries. Today, he was suddenly told that the leaders of these 2 organizations were his most prized subordinate, and the young man whom he treated as his subordinate's man. How could he, Gu Junjian, not be frightened? How could he not be surprised? Fortunately, although the Hun organization and the kosher mercenaries were assassin organizations and mercenary groups, they had never attacked Country Z. Therefore, they maintained a non-interference relationship with Country Z. This meant that even if the other countries and regions were at odds with the Hun organization and the kosher mercenaries, the people in his army would not have to go against the 2 organizations. It was also because of this that the Zhe province's military officers dared to let Gu Junjian work with the Hun organization and the kosher mercenaries. Otherwise, wouldn't it be scary to work with 2 major assassin mercenary groups? Gu Junjian gradually calmed down. He had a lot of questions that he wanted to ask Yin Jian alone, but it was not suitable for such an occasion. Just then, Emo's son walked in from the entrance of the base with a stove. Everyone looked over and saw that the stove in Emo's son's hand was filled with charcoal that had just been burned from wood. It was obvious that the charcoal was taken from the kitchen of the Inferno Ring's base. Emo's son even brought a coal clamp with him. Everyone was suspicious. What was he going to do with it? Young master, this is all I found, Emo's son said as he carried the stove to the 3rd floor. Everyone present was a little confused. What was he going to do? When Emo's son placed the stove in front of Ce, Ce turned and glared at Job with his razor-sharp eyes. However, he said to Yun Jian, "If you want to skin him, this is just enough." What Ce said struck fear into everyone's heart. If Yun Jian's stabbing Job, then Ce's words were like a demon king from the 18th level of hell. Fear and panic. Xiao Weiming was squatting on Xiao. No one knew how shocked Xiao Weiming was at this moment. He had almost pawned the fear of his entire life on this. Yun Jian lifted her foot abruptly, merely glancing at Job. "This is just enough to skin him." Yun Jian chuckled and walked over. She used the coal clamp to pick up the glowing charcoal. No, it wasn't me who killed your brother. Slaying God. It wasn't me. It wasn't me who ordered it. Don't kill me, don't kill me. I'll tell you a secret. As long as you don't kill me, I'll tell you a secret. It's about the sandalwood box. It's about the sandalwood box. It's something from another world. Don't kill me. I'll tell you everything. Chapter 581. The sandalwood box was an item from another world. Yun Jian and Ce naturally knew this. At the same time, Yun Jian and Ce also knew that the sandalwood box was an item from the Yulong continent. Yun Jian and Ce knew far more about the sandalwood box and the Yulong continent than Job, because Lan Su was from the Yulong continent. However, when she suddenly heard about the sandalwood box from Job, the leader of the Inferno Ring, Yun Jian's heart jolted. She was not surprised about the sandalwood box's origins, nor was she frightened by Job. But how did Job know that the sandalwood box was an item from another world? When Job and the others abducted her younger brother, Yun Jian, their demand for Yun Jian was very obvious. She had to obtain the sandalwood box within 3 days and hand it over at the exchange location. Otherwise, her younger brother would die without a doubt. That was why Yun Jian risked her life to snatch the sandalwood box and head to the exchange location. If Yun Jian did not know why Qiao Mu and the others wanted her to steal the sandalwood box before, then Yun Jian now had her suspicions. After all, the sandalwood box came from the Yulong continent, and the sandalwood box itself possessed supreme divine power. Now that she heard Job's words, Yun Jian suddenly connected the dots between the Inferno Ring's demand for her to steal the sandalwood box in her previous life and Job's words right now. Yun Jian could also tell from Job's expression that he was not lying. He really did not order Wuxia to kill her younger brother? Speak! Yun Jian stopped what she was doing abruptly and tossed the coal clamp back into the furnace before scolding Job. The group of people below had already frowned upon hearing this. What was a sandalwood box? What was that? Also, this sandalwood box that Job was talking about came from another world? Could it be that there was another world other than Earth? What a joke! This was no longer the feudal society of ancient times. How could another world appear? Job thought that Yun Jian was interested. He clutched his numb thigh and tried his best to sit up straight. I'll tell you. Let me go, and I'll tell you. That was Job's goal. At this moment, Job didn't care about anything other than surviving. He was about to be forced to his death. So how could he care so much? He still had a lot of beautiful women to play with, and a lot of money to spend. How could he die? Just now, he was having fun with the woman who was being held at gunpoint by Adam. As a result, they were forcefully separated by Adam, who barged in. TSK, that feeling was really. He was still unable to satisfy it. Speak. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and looked at Job viciously. She had never been a soft-hearted person. Don't forget who she is. Slaying God was the top secret agent in the international secret agent ranking. She was never one to keep her promises. Bang! At this moment, Ce raised an exquisite silver pistol and fired another shot at Job's thigh. The shot was unforgettable and everyone who heard it was sweating profusely. Other than Yun Jian, Ce was the only one who could act like nothing had happened after firing a shot. You don't have the right to state your conditions. Die, Ce said calmly. His deep eyes flashed, and the gun in his hand was pointed at Job's heart. Adam, who was standing behind Ce, was innocent. His young master had snatched his pistol without saying anything. Chapter 582. I'll talk. Job almost fainted when he was shot in the same spot. Yun Jian stabbed the blade into the base of Job's thigh for the first time, before stabbing him multiple times with the butterfly knife. More importantly, she had even stepped on his wound. Every single one of these attacks was fatal. If it was a normal person, they would have fainted countless times already. Luckily, even though Job wasn't the best, he had received special training as an assassin. Back then, Job had climbed his way up from being an assassin, so he naturally had some skills. Even if Job wasn't strong, at the very least, he was at the standard of a normal assassin. After all, he was the leader of the Inferno Ring. If he didn't have any skills, there would naturally be no one following him. But a normal assassin was enough for Job to become the leader of the Inferno Ring. This made Yun Jian suspect that there was someone else behind Job. Yun Jian could tell from Job's face that he wasn't lying. This meant that Job, who knew that the sandalwood box was from another world, wasn't the one who ordered her brother's death. I don't know the details, but I know that the sandalwood box is from another world. It's from a world called the Yulong continent. Job didn't dare to hide anything. He endured the pain and gritted his teeth as he spoke. At this moment, Job had no strength left in his body. Knife wounds, gunshot wounds, and Yun Jian's kick had crippled his leg. If he didn't get treatment in time, he might never be able to stand again. Because he was afraid that Ce would really shoot him, Job continued to speak. He tried his best to tell her everything he knew to eliminate himself as a suspect. The Inferno Ring isn't actually mine. The news you heard from the outside world is wrong. The truth isn't like that at all. I've only been the leader of the Inferno Ring for close to 2 years. You might think that I've been the leader of the Inferno Ring for many years, right? Actually, that's not the case. 2 years ago, I was an assassin who had just made a name for myself. My code name wasn't Job, but a mysterious man came to me and told me that he could make me the leader of the Inferno Ring. He said that he could make me the leader of the Inferno Ring with countless beauties and become the leader of the organization. How can I not agree to such a good thing? Didn't I immediately agree to his request? Later, when I really became the leader of the Inferno Ring, the mysterious man asked Tai Jingang to help me manage the organization. But I found out that before me, there was someone called Job. That person, he was the previous leader of the Inferno Ring. I accidentally found out that he was killed by a mysterious person. I was scared out of my wits at that time, but I didn't dare to make it public. Since you've seen through me today, it doesn't matter. Let's cooperate. I don't want to be killed by the mysterious man. I'm not the Job you think I am. The Job you think I am may have died long ago. I don't know how many people called Job have taken over as the leader of the Inferno Ring. By the way, the mysterious man told me to send Wolfkill to steal the sandalwood box. He was the one who came up with the plan. The sandalwood box is something from another world. The mysterious man told me all this. He seems to be carrying out some plan. I'm telling you all this because I want to cooperate with you. Don't kill me. I've told you everything I know. Chapter 583. In order to survive, Job spilled everything he knew. Of course, he was afraid of dying. This was because he had unintentionally found out that the previous leaders of the Inferno Ring were all named Job. More importantly, those people named Job had never shown themselves in front of outsiders. This meant that without him, the mysterious man could find more people named Job to replace him. This fully explained the scariest thing. He could be killed at any time, just like those people named Job. Hence, when Yun Jian and the rest exterminated the Inferno Ring from the outside, Job decided to come clean. He was not afraid since he was going to die anyway. So he told them everything and begged Yun Jian and Ce to spare his life. He still wanted to live to play with beauties and use the money that he could never spend. Moreover, he had stolen a lot of savings from the Inferno Ring in the past 2 years. The reason why Job had agreed to the mysterious man's request was because he could get many things that he could not get in the past. Are you done? Yun Jian asked with a raised brow. Job held the wound on his thigh and nodded, saying, Yes, I'm done. I've told you everything I know. Let me go, I'm innocent. It was the mysterious man who made me do all these. I didn't want to do all these bad things. Ce raised a brow at Job's words. Yun Jian continued. So the mysterious man was the one who sent Wuxia to kidnap my brother through you? Yun Jian had just finished, but before Job could speak, she added, "Tell me the truth. Don't even think about being hypocritical in front of me, or I'll slit your neck." Slaying God's authority was not something Job could challenge. Job shrunk his neck, clearly fearful of Yun Jian's gaze. He whispered to Yun Jian, but looked up at Yun Jian in fear, afraid that the butterfly knife in Yun Jian's hand would really slit his neck. However, Job saw that Yun Jian did not make a move, but Ce, who was standing behind Yun Jian, suddenly took out a pistol and aimed it at himself. Just as Job made half a sound, he shot Job's temple with a bang. The bullet entered his temple, and his body fell backward. Job could still hear Ce's arrogant but protective words. "Do you think you'll live to see the sun tomorrow?" Even if Job did not give the order to kill Xiao Yunju in his past life, he was the one who had sent it to Wuxia. "Do you think you'll live?" His woman's beloved brother, Job's intermediary, had ordered him to kill him. How could Ce let Job see the scorching sun the next day? Suddenly, the woman kneeling on the ground screamed, and was knocked out by Adam's kick. "Young master, Emo's son and I will lead our men to eliminate the remnants of the Inferno Ring." Adam stood in front of Ce respectfully and said to Ce, Ce replied in a magnetic voice. Adam and Emo's son led the Hun members away from the scene. The Kosha mercenaries, on the other hand, had already eliminated the remnants of the Inferno Ring in other places. At this moment, there was only a huge pile of corpses, Yun Jian, Ce, and more than 100 advanced special forces members left at the scene. Other than providing assistance, the advanced special forces did not do anything at all, let alone suffer any casualties. Gu Junjian looked at Yun Jian with mixed feelings. Yun Jian stood up on one leg and looked down at the advanced special forces members downstairs. "It's easy for me to kill all of you." What was that supposed to mean? The advanced special forces members standing behind Gu Junjian were shocked and frightened. Chapter 584. Yun Jian, are you going to kill us? Xiao Weiming was the first to ask cautiously. He was already trembling in fear. Xiao Weiming's initial disdain for Yun Jian had turned into fear and horror. Now Xiao Weiming was truly frightened, especially now that Yun Jian had said something like that to them. She had actually said that she could kill them easily. Gu Junjian, on the other hand, looked at Yun Jian with a complicated expression. He frowned and looked up at Yun Jian, who was standing on the stairs on the 3rd floor. Her expression was calm. He did not believe that Yun Jian would kill them, because if she did, Yun Jian's Kosha mercenaries would officially declare war on Country Z. More importantly, Gu Junjian could tell from Yun Jian's past actions that she cared a lot about Qin Yiru. Moreover, Xiao Yunju was Yun Jian's root. Since Yun Jian had left Xiao Yunju in Country Z, how could she possibly become enemies with them? Perhaps. Yun Jian flashed her pearly white teeth and smiled at Xiao Weiming, who was at the bottom of the stairs. This smile made Xiao Weiming feel even more weak. Once he recalled how he had looked down on Yun Jian in the past, Xiao Weiming felt uneasy. He felt that his head would be taken away by Yun Jian at any time. Yun Jian was slaying God. This also meant that if she wanted the heads of all of them present, it would only take a single word from her. Just as the atmosphere was gloomy, Yun Jian suddenly broke into a smile. She seemed to have turned into a little girl who loved to joke. "I'm just kidding." As soon as she said that, Yun Jian's eyes flashed. Then her gaze turned ferocious. At the same time, she looked at everyone present with hostility and changed her tone. "But the condition is that none of you can say a word about what happened today. If you don't, we're still in the same army. If I hear any rumors, I'll kill all of you without anyone knowing. I know you believe that I can do it." Yun Jian smiled eerily after she said that. In everyone's eyes, Yun Jian looked like the Grim Reaper who was holding a scythe and seducing souls. "Yun Jian, Gu Junjian, won't say a word." Gu Junjian was the first to shout. Me too. We won't say a word." In the end, even Xiao Weiming gave his word. If he did not give his word, Yun Jian would probably kill him first. Hence Xiao Weiming was afraid. Yun Jian nodded when she got his word. The Inferno Ring has been successfully eliminated. All teams, pack up and prepare to return home. Gu Junjian shouted sternly. Yes. The 10 teams of Advanced Special Forces obeyed the order and ran out of the Inferno Ring's base. At this moment, Yin Jian and Ce had come down from the 3rd floor. Seeing that Yin Jian and Ce were about to leave, Gu Junjian suddenly called out to Yin Jian. Yin Jian, wait. Yin Jian turned around and looked at Gu Junjian without saying a word. Seeing that Gu Junjian called out to Yin Jian while Ce stood beside Yin Jian, his eyes flickered. I have something to ask you. Gu Junjian frowned and stayed silent for 2 seconds. Since Gu Junjian did not say anything, Yin Jian did not say anything as well. After 2 seconds of silence, Gu Junjian spoke again. I have all your information on hand. You're Yiru's child and grew up in Xinjiang town. I've heard from Yiru that Yin Jian seemed to have changed into a different person since the Friday after your 3rd year of junior high school. You said you're slaying God today. How did you become slaying God and complete all the missions when you've never left Xinjiang town? I won't ask anything else. I just want to ask one question. You're the fake Yin Jian, aren't you? Where's the real Yin Jian? Where is she? Gu Junjian was a little scared. Qin Yiru loved her daughter so much. What would she do if she knew the truth? Would she be heartbroken? Heartbroken? Unbearable pain. Yin Jian grinned suddenly. Chapter 585. In the end, Yin Jian added, You must tell the truth, or I won't tell you. Yin Jian crossed her arms and tilted her head to look at Gu Junjian. Her half-smile made Gu Junjian, who was suddenly diverted to him, blush. Gu Junjian's reaction confirmed Yin Jian's suspicions. Ce stood beside Yin Jian, leaning close to Yin Jian. At that moment, he was also looking at Gu Junjian with a playful expression. This was his mother-in-law's happiness for the rest of her life. It was not child's play. Ce naturally knew about Qin Yiru's troubled life and the hardships Qin Yiru had gone through in the past. He could feel her care for Qin Yiru and her love for Qin Yiru. Ce was not blind. When he was in Xinjiang town, he had naturally seen the interaction between Gu Junjian and Qin Yiru. Two people's mutual interest was a kind of fate. Under Yin Jian's interrogative gaze, Gu Junjian's face turned red. In the end, under Yin Jian and Ce's intense gazes, Gu Junjian said embarrassedly, My relationship with Yiru. Yin Jian, you know that I'm a married man. Although I haven't spent much time with Yiru, I feel that we're getting along quite well, so it's meaningful, isn't it? Yin Jian suddenly interrupted Gu Junjian. Yin Jian did not mind the fact that Gu Junjian was a married man. After all, her mother was a married woman too. If Gu Junjian and Qin Yiru were both married twice, then many conflicts would be nipped in the bud. Moreover, Gu Junjian and Qin Yiru had quite a tacit understanding. Yin Jian did not wish for Qin Yiru to spend the rest of her life alone. She also hoped that Qin Yiru could find a partner who would treat her well. Obviously, Gu Junjian was a responsible man. Although he was in the military and did not have much free time, he would never gamble, be a loan shark, and steal women like Yin Gang. Gu Junjian was speechless at Yin Jian's words, but he still nodded, his face red. I agree, Yin Jian suddenly said when Gu Junjian was blushing. Then, as if she was marrying off her daughter, Yin Jian said earnestly, Officer, although you're my officer now, but if you want to be with my mother, you must treat her well. Otherwise, I won't let you go. Hearing Yin Jian's words, Gu Junjian quickly raised his head and looked straight at Yin Jian. His attitude seemed sincere, but there was a hint of joy in it. Yin Jian, don't worry. Who am I, Gu Junjian? I swear to you, if I, Gu Junjian, treat Yura badly, I'll be struck by lightning and die a horrible death. Alright, I understand. Yin Jian continued to smile. Gu Junjian was aware of his feelings for Qin Yiru. On the other hand, Qin Yiru actually did not know how she felt about Gu Junjian. After all, they had only known each other for a short time. However, what Qin Yiru did not know was that she had been sold by her own daughter. When Yin Jian changed the topic, Gu Junjian instantly forgot his initial purpose. Fortunately, Yin Jian did not want to go back on her words. She then began to explain the topic Gu Junjian was talking about earlier. Regarding your question just now, I'm sorry, but I can only tell you one thing. I'm indeed not the real Yin Jian. I don't know where she went either. But you can rest assured, Officer Gu. If I have any bad intentions toward my mother, I'll die without a place to hide. Gu Junjian frowned at Yin Jian's promise, but he soon relaxed. Chapter 586. Yin Jian only swore, because ever since her rebirth, Qin Yiru had become the most important person to her. She would never do anything to hurt Qin Yiru, because in her heart, she had already treated Qin Yiru as her own mother. In her previous life, she was abducted at the age of 5, and lived till the age of 16. However, she had never experienced a mother's embrace. Legend had it that a mother's love was great and selfless. Unfortunately, she had never experienced it before. However, after her rebirth, she experienced a mother's love and Qin Yiru's care. Even if Qin Yiru did not directly tell her, "Baby, I love you," or anything like that. However, from the little things that happened in her daily life, she could tell that Qin Yiru cared for her. Although Yin Jian was a secret agent in her previous life, she had even killed her best friend in order to survive. However, she was not a heartless person. She treated Qin Yiru, Yun Yi, and Xiao Yunju equally. They were her most beloved family members, and the only ones she had now. However, she did not expect that Ce would take her oath seriously. However, the truth was that what Ce said earlier had indeed warmed Yin Jian's heart. Don't spout nonsense. Yin Jian retracted her hand from Ce's grasp with a blushing face. Yin Jian looked at Gu Junjian again with her slightly flushed cheeks and said, "Officer Gu, I'll have to trouble you to take care of me in the army in the future. I'm just Yin Jian, and I hope that you'll treat me the same way you treat Team Monarch." Yin Jian did not want to be treated differently after Gu Junjian found out about her identity. She joined the army to improve her skills, not to be treated differently by Gu Junjian after they found out about her identity. Gu Yunjian's face stiffened when he saw Ce's actions. However, Gu Yunjian's mental fortitude was strong. Gu Junjian acted as if nothing had happened. He nodded to Yin Jian and said, "Well, don't worry about that. Even if you are the king of heaven, I, Gu Junjian, will train you according to the rules of the army." Gu Junjian said this very seriously. Of course, Gu Junjian was never one for pleasantries. To Gu Junjian, even though Yin Jian was slaying God, since she had joined his army, she would have to undergo military training like the other members without exception. This was Gu Yunjian's principle. Yes. Yin Jian nodded slightly. Her tender cheeks were as red as a big red apple. Then Yin Jian, I'll take my leave first. Sensing Ce's murderous gaze, Gu Junjian pursed his lips. He suddenly felt as if he was a third wheel, and felt uncomfortable all of a sudden. Hence, Gu Junjian quickly said, "Okay." Yin Jian obviously did not know why Gu Junjian wanted to leave the base first. She nodded slightly, and watched as Gu Junjian walked out of the north gate of the base. Outside the base, the people from An Hun group had retreated. The people from Inferno Ring had been completely annihilated. Only the remaining forces of Inferno Ring had not been completely annihilated. However, Adam and Mo's son had already gone there to eliminate the remaining forces with Snake, Lizard and the rest. Let's go out too. Yin Jian looked around. Other than the corpses, there was no one else around. She turned around and said to Ce. Just as she turned around, she felt a warm breath caressing her nostrils. In the blink of an eye, Ce was holding her in his arms. Chapter 587. What are you doing? Yin Jian was forcefully held in Ce's arms. Her face was pressed against his chest, and her cheeks were as red as an apple. Ce smiled. If they weren't in the Inferno Ring's base, and not in a place filled with corpses, he would have kissed her. I can't help but want to eat you up, and make you stay by my side forever. Yin Jian couldn't see Ce's handsome face, but Yin Jian could hear his magnetic and seductive voice clearly. Badump badump. Yin Jian could even hear her own heartbeat. Her heart was trembling. Yin Jian opened her small red lips, but no words came out. Ce's words made her feel bitter, but she couldn't help but feel happy. What was wrong with her? Young master, I've already contacted the Kosha mercenaries higher-ups, Snake. Lizard. The remaining forces of the Inferno Ring have already been wiped out by the Kosha mercenaries. The Inferno Ring has been completely destroyed. You. At this moment, Adam's untimely voice came from the door. Adam had just left Tiny Island when he received Snake Lizard's report before he could go far. The remaining forces of the Inferno Ring had been completely wiped out. Hearing this news, Adam hurried back here, wanting to immediately inform their young master of this news. But he didn't expect to see such an erotic scene the moment he entered the door. Siyi's tall and broad body was hugging Yunjian's petite and beautiful body. Although the two of them were dressed neatly, Adam could see that something wasn't right. Adam was so scared that he immediately realized that something was wrong. He quickly turned around and said softly, young master, you're busy. I'll take the people in the organization and leave first. Stop. Siyi's voice came from behind. Adam felt that he was going to fall in front of Yunjian for the rest of his life. Not daring to turn around, Adam spoke softly. Young master, do you have any other orders? Let's go back to an Hun organization together. Siyi loosened his grip on Yunjian. He lowered his head and glanced at Yunjian. His first sentence was directed at Adam. After Siyi let go of Yunjian's hand, he said to Yunjian, I'll go back to an Hun first. I'll look for you tomorrow. After saying that, he took another deep look at Yunjian, reached out his hand to hold Yunjian's hand, and walked out. Yunjian's hand was held, and she didn't refuse. Her red cheeks were pink and tender. It wasn't until Yunjian, Gujunjian, and the others left Taipei Island that Siyi continued to say, I'm leaving first. You go back to China first. We can't go back today. It's nighttime now, the cruise ship isn't sailing. I've already sent someone to book the tickets for tomorrow's cruise back to China. Gujunjian interjected. By the time they reached Country S, it was already 6 or 7 in the evening. The cruise ship back to Country Z would only sail during the day, so they could only stay here for the night. Siyi nodded. He glanced at Yunjian a few more times, before turning to jump into the private helicopter that Adam had prepared. Adam piloted the helicopter, and quickly left with Siyi. Seeing that, Gujunjian didn't stay any longer. He brought Yunjian and the others back to Country S's pier. They weren't in a hurry to find a hotel. Instead, they paraded along the streets near Country S's pier. Country S is one of the richest countries in the world. I've always wanted to visit this place. An advanced special forces soldier exclaimed in surprise. Me too. Someone immediately chimed in. It was inevitable that Yunjian, a girl, would attract attention when she walked with over 100 men. Chapter 588. Country S was one of the wealthiest countries in the world. However, Country S's overall military strength was the most outdated in the world. Why was that? If someone were to ask how wealthy Country S was, the answer would be that they were so poor that all they had was money. Even beggars drove sports cars like Ferraris and Lamborghinis. In fact, Country S was truly an oil kingdom. Both its oil reserves and production were ranked first in the world, making it one of the wealthiest countries in the world. Because Country S had the innate ability to produce oil, Country S's main income came from selling oil. In fact, before oil was discovered in S country, it was just a very poor country. However, ever since oil was discovered and excavated, it quickly became a country that relied on its geographical advantage to survive. However, this was only temporary. Sooner or later, these blessings of God would be used up. Country S was the only country in the world that did not allow women to get a driver's license. Hence, women's status in Country S was not high. Country S was a feudal country through and through, and the ruler was the king of Country S. It was said that in Country S, if you wanted to determine which family was the wealthiest, you just had to look at the number of living trees in front of their house. Because here people did not pump water from the surface of the earth. Instead, they pumped oil. Here, whoever bought the most water would be considered as the wealthiest. The advanced special forces soldier, who had said that he had wanted to visit Country S for a long time, had been introducing Country S's history and current status and development along the way. It was obvious that he was very interested in this. After Yun Jian and the rest had finished touring the streets of Country S, they went to a hotel early to rest. The next day, they took the cruise back to Country Z. It was only when they returned to Country Z that they felt like they were in a dream. It was as if everything that had happened in the Inferno Ring did not exist. However, it clearly existed. When they returned to Country Z, they represented their military and joined forces with the Kosha mercenaries and in Hun to destroy the internationally renowned Inferno Ring. With this, the reputation of the military in Jia province would definitely soar. However, no one knew that the Inferno Ring had been destroyed. However, in less than 2 days, the news would spread all over the world. And this group of ASF soldiers led by Gu Junjian would become the target of recruitment organizations all over the world. The group of people happily returned to the military training camp. This group of people did not include Xiao Weiming, Yu Fengcheng, and the others. Everyone knew that Xiao Weiming, Yu Fengcheng, and the others were not on good terms with Yun Jian. Yun Jian's identity, on the other hand, was enough to shock anyone. After riding 5 buses back to the military training camp, before Yun Jian even got off the bus, she saw 3 figures standing at the entrance of the military training camp from afar. They were Officer Bao, Coach Su, and Ai Guoxuan from F province. Looking straight at Ai Guoxuan's smug expression, it was as if he had found out something incredible. Just as Yun Jian and Gu Junjian got off the bus, Ai Guoxuan walked over with Officer Bao and Coach Su. "I'm sorry. The people sent by the Inferno Ring are too powerful. I joined forces with the Kosha mercenaries to capture them, but they still managed to escape," Officer Bao said to Yun Jian guiltily. Yun Jian raised a brow. "Haha. Gu Junjian, what are you trying to show off for? You failed the mission, didn't you? You're dreaming if you think you can annihilate Inferno Ring," Ai Guoxuan said smugly. It was obvious that Ai Guoxuan was here to boast. Chapter 589. Haha, I knew it. How could you guys? What did you say? You've wiped out Inferno Ring? How's that possible? Ai Guoxuan's exuberant voice stopped abruptly. How's that possible? That's Inferno Ring. That's Inferno Ring. How could you guys wipe them out? Ai Guoxuan was unrepentant as he stared at Yun Jian and Gu Junjian in fear, suddenly realizing something. Gu Junjian had indeed led his men to wipe out Inferno Ring. But now, none of the 10 teams of Advanced Special Forces Gu Junjian had led away had suffered any casualties. Ai Guoxuan pointed his finger at Gu Junjian immediately and said arrogantly, Don't think I don't know. Gu Junjian, do you think you can fool me? Don't forget that I'm an Advanced Special Forces officer too. Haha, you said you've wiped out Inferno Ring. But why didn't anyone suffer any casualties? Don't tell me you're all made of steel. I don't believe that. Ai Guoxuan's words sounded reasonable. After all, Inferno Ring was an assassin organization second only to Hun and Kosha mercenaries. Even with Hun and Kosha mercenaries' help, Gu Junjian and his men could not have suffered no casualties, could they? Ai Guoxuan, my army doesn't welcome you. Think whatever you want, but please go back to F province now. Gu Junjian was enraged once he heard Ai Guoxuan's words, reprimanding Ai Guoxuan in return. Ai Guoxuan's heart skipped a beat at Gu Junjian's reaction. After all, Gu Junjian had been his enemy for years, but he had never lost his temper out of the blue. On the other hand, Gu Junjian was enraged because Ai Guoxuan had asked his subordinates why they didn't suffer any casualties. Did Ai Guoxuan mean that there should be casualties among the 10 teams of Advanced Special Forces? Gu Junjian was enraged. Haha, do you think I want to join your army? I'm leaving now. Gu Junjian, I'll be waiting to see you make a fool of yourself. Ai Guoxuan sneered at Gu Junjian before turning to leave in a huff. No one asked Ai Guoxuan to stay as he walked away. After all, Ai Guoxuan's words earlier had pissed everyone off. What Ai Guoxuan had done was truly detestable. After Ai Guoxuan left, Yun Jian shifted her gaze to Officer Bao and continued. The man sent by Inferno Ring is powerful. It's not your fault that you didn't catch him. Yes, that man is very strong. Even when I worked with the kosher mercenaries, we couldn't catch him. Officer Bao was still feeling a little guilty, but he still gave a brief description of the situation. Burly and stocky. Does he look strong like he has an endless supply of energy? Yun Jian arched a brow and stared straight at Officer Bao, asking in a tone that sounded like a question, but more like a confirmation. That's right, how did you know? You weren't there at the time. That man was very strong, and many of us were injured. A group of people tried to subdue him, but he managed to escape in the end, Officer Bao said. There was a hint of guilt in his voice. Tai Jingang. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes, her gaze murderous. What? Everyone present was confused. Chapter 590. Yun Jian was also surprised that the Inferno Ring would send a big shot like Tai Jingang to save Hertz's group. After all, Job himself was very weak. The Inferno Ring had always been under Job's control, and had not been destroyed or replaced by others because of Tai Jingang. More importantly, Tai Jingang was the mysterious man that Job had mentioned. This made Yun Jian furious. She wanted to kill Tai Jingang, but now was not the time. Tai Jingang had escaped, and after knowing that the Inferno Ring had been destroyed, Tai Jingang would never return to the Inferno Ring. In other words, Job was dead, but her brother's death had not been avenged. According to the dead Job, Yun Jian found out that the mysterious man and Tai Jingang were most likely from the Yulong continent. Just like Lan Su, they had come out of the stone cave in the ancient tomb. Speaking of the stone cave that led to another world, perhaps the stone cave could deter countless powerful masters in the world, but it could not stop people from the Yulong continent from coming here. Yun Jian had heard from Lan Su that there were not many people as powerful as Lan Su in the Yulong continent, but it was not difficult to pass through the stone cave. Lan Su had said that the stone cave, which was the transportation portal from Earth to the Yulong continent, was created by the Divine Lord. When the Divine Lord created the stone cave and stone door, he did not set any difficult barriers. As long as one could pass through the arrow of the stone cave, one could travel back and forth between the two worlds. Hearing Yun Jian say that the mysterious man was Tai Jingang, the top figure in the Inferno Ring, Officer Bao and Coach Su shivered. Tai Jingang of the Inferno Ring was not ranked internationally, but Officer Bao and Coach Su had heard of his name. He was a terrifying existence that killed without batting an eyelid. Officer Bao and the others were not killed when they confronted him. Although a few of them were injured, none of them died. At that moment, Officer Bao felt as if he had just escaped death. After recovering from the shock, Officer Bao and Coach Su bade farewell to Yun Jian and Gu Junjian. Officer Bao and Coach Su had come to explain the situation to Yun Jian and Gu Junjian. Now that they had said their piece, they did not stay any longer. Yun Jian and Gu Junjian did not stay any longer either. Yun Jian reminded Officer Bao to be careful in case Tai Jingang came to find them. Officer Bao gave them a friendly gesture and left. Yun Jian, come with me. After the advanced Gu Junjian and Yun's orders, Gu Junjian then led Yun Jian to Team Monarch's training ground. From a distance's eyes thaced the Jingang the ring. Look, Yun Jian and Officer Gu are back safe and sound. I told you, it's just the Inferno Ring. Haha. My Yun Jian and our brave and heroic Officer Gu Junjian won't fail. Chu Ning was the first to run over. Yun Jian, how is it? How is it? I was so worried. Right, why are you guys back so soon? Chu Xiangnan ran behind Chu Ning and asked Yun Jian with Chu Ning between them. The six of them stood up one after another. Inferno Ring has been annihilated successfully. Yun Jian smiled. All right, Inferno Ring has been completely annihilated. It's all thanks to Yun Jian. Gu Junjian chuckled before he relayed the latest notification from his superior that he had received from his phone. Chapter 591. Gu Junjian was the latest to receive the news, and he was stunned when he first read it. Military schools were places where the country focused on nurturing military talents. At the same time, the cutoff for enrolling in a military school was quite high. Yun Jian's 7-member Team Monarch could be considered Gu Junjian's superior to have opened the channel and sent them in directly. Gu Junjian paused and turned his gaze to Yun Jian. He said to Yun Jian, you're in your 3rd year of middle school now. The lowest grade in a military school is the high school section. You'll have to wait until you're done with your 3rd year of middle school exams and enroll in your 1st year of high school. It was a helpless move. After all, Gu Yunjian's superior had already arranged for the 7 members of Team Monarch to enroll in a military school. In a place like a military school, the lowest grade was the high school section. Among the 7 members of Team Monarch, Yun Jian was the youngest. In comparison, other than Yun Jian, the other 6 members were already in high school. Chu Xiangnan, Lu Shiyin, and the others were already in university. They were considered to have transferred to a military school directly. However, Yun Jian would only be in the 2nd semester of her 3rd year of middle school when school reopened after the new year. Once she was done with her 3rd year of middle school, she could enroll in a military school directly from high school. Yun Jian nodded. Enrolling in a military school was not a problem for her. Moreover, enrolling in a military school would allow her to improve her skills better. Why would she not do it? However, due to her lack of age and grade, Yun Jian was not in a hurry to enroll in a military school. Although Gu Junjian was aware of Yun Jian's identity, he treated everyone equally. He could not possibly forbid Yun Jian from enrolling in a military school, just because Yun Jian was strong. However, Yun Jian's grade was not up to the standard, and there was nothing he could do about it. The moment Gu Junjian finished his announcement, Chu Ning and the others were overjoyed. As soon as school started, they would be able to transfer to the same school, and it would be a military school. That's great. Our Team Monarch can go to the same school, but Yun Jian can't go yet. But don't worry, Yun Jian can come in half a year's time. Chu Ning clapped her hands excitedly, overjoyed. That's right. Half a year later, Team Monarch will be able to gather at the military academy. He will be invincible. Chu Xiangnan quickly chimed in with Chu Ning. Yun Jian only pursed her lips slightly. The members of Team Monarch were now united as one, heart to heart. How could Yun Jian not want to see such beauty? Everyone wanted to see the beauty of life. By the way, Officer Gu, what's the name of the military academy that we're going to study in? Chu Ning and Chu Xiangnan were excited for a long time before they turned to look at Gu Junjian. You'll know when you get there. Gu Junjian kept them in suspense. Officer Gu, is the location of the military academy in Longmen City? Lu Shiyin asked seriously. Gu Junjian replied. No, but it's in Zhe Province. It's in Min City, about 2 to 3 hours drive away from Longmen City. Oh, the group grew even more excited at the mention of going on a long trip. Young children yearned to go on a long trip because it was far away from home. Once they were far away from home, their parents would not be able to control them, and they could do whatever they wanted. However, children who went on a long trip would miss home and parents. Gu Junjian sent them home after informing them of the news. Gu Junjian was the last to send Yun Jian home, because he wanted to shamelessly go to Yun Jian's house again. Gu Junjian drove Yun Jian back to Xinjiang town in the jeep. From afar, Yun Jian saw Lan Su playing hide-and-seek with Xiao Yunju with a piece of white gauze over his eyes. Chapter 592. It was a happy chuckle. Gu Junjian drove the jeep and parked it at the entrance. Xiao Yunju was still playing hide-and-seek with Lan Su when his beady eyes caught the familiar jeep driving over. He ran over happily. Jejie, Lan Su, hurry up. My Jejie's back. Uncle Ji's back too. As he spoke, Xiao Yunju was already sprinting over to Yun Jian and Gu Junjian with his short legs. Jejie, Uncle Gu, where's Ce Gich? Xiao Yunju grabbed Yun Jian's hand and called out energetically. Your Ce Gich isn't here yet, Yun Jian answered. 2 silhouettes came out of the house at the same time. It was Qin Yiru. Qin Yiru was carrying a lot of things, while Yin Yi was following behind Qin Yiru. Xiao Jian, you're back? Officer Gu, you're here too? I was planning to go back to Longmen City. Qin Yiru put down the things quickly and wiped her dirty hands on her pants while looking at Gu Junjian. Qin Yiru came over to greet him. Gu Junjian, do you want to come in and have a seat? Qin Yiru was planning to catch the last bus back to Longmen City in the afternoon. She had stayed at Zhang Meihua's house for too long after all. Zhang Meihua's house was actually her brother's home. Her brother had a family now and Qin Yiru had stayed here for a long time. She planned to go back to Longmen City. It's okay. Gu Junjian went over to help Qin Yiru carry the things before changing his mind. I'm going back to Longmen City as well. I'll bring you guys back since it's on the way. How can I accept that? Qin Yiru was still very polite. After all, Gu Junjian was not related to her at all. Why would he help her? Why are you embarrassed? Hurry up. Gu Junjian said as he helped Qin Yiru to carry the things into his jeep. Qin Yiru nodded and smiled. She did not reject his good intentions. Her impression of Gu Junjian had improved by quite a bit. Zhang Meihua did not seem to be at home at this time. So Gu Junjian sent Qin Yiru, Yin Yi, Xiao Yunju, Lan Su, and Yin Jian back to Longmen City. After returning to Longmen City, Lan Su left. Her previous mission was only to protect Qin Yiru and the others. Gu Junjian carried all of Qin Yiru's belongings to Dong Ruan's villa personally. Dong Ruan was already out of the province by now. She was only free these few days. So she had left the province to visit her relatives outside the province. It was the end of the year. Yin Jian planned to visit Qing Yu's house with Yin Yi tomorrow morning. After all, they had planned to visit on the 12th of the new year, due to the incident, but it was delayed again and again. Yin Jian slept on the big bed that she had stayed in for a long time. Returning to Dong Ruan's house in Longmen City from Xinjiang town, she was at peace as she smelled the familiar scent on the bed. Siyi's room was right next to hers, but Siyi was not there at the moment. It was strange. Why was she missing him again? Shaking her head, she dismissed the thought. Suddenly, Yin Jian's door was pushed open from the outside. After locking the door, the person climbed onto her bed at lightning speed. Yin Jian's door was locked. She frowned and was about to make a move when a familiar scent wafted into her nose. Even if it was pitch black, she could still clearly feel his presence. Why are you back? Yin Jian was surprised. Did he not say that he would be back tomorrow? Because I miss you. Siyi hugged Yin Jian tightly. Suddenly, a series of knocks came from the door. It was followed by Xiao Yunju's complaining voice. Mama Qin. Xiao Zhu went to pee just now and really saw a burglar running into Jiejia's room. He went in with a swoosh. Will Jiejie be in danger? Chapter 593. The sudden noise at the door made Yin Jian's eyelid twitch. Under the blanket, Siyi was still hugging her close. His fresh and pleasant scent filled her nostrils, giving her a sense of contentment and refreshment. Xiao Jian. Qin Yiru, who was outside the house, turned the doorknob. She panicked when she saw that the door was locked from the inside, especially when Xiao Yunju told her that he had seen a shadow running into his sister's room when he went to the toilet to pee. The child was innocent and would never lie, so Qin Yiru was terrified. Her villa was not in the bustling city center. What if there was a thief here? Especially when her daughter was still a virgin. Qin Yiru knew that Yin Jian was skilled in martial arts, and that she was training in the military with Gu Junjian, so she must be quite capable. However, mothers were always worried about their children. Qin Yiru was no exception. Xiao Zhu, go back to sleep first. Mommy Qin will look for the key to unlock the door. Qin Yiru thought that something had happened when she failed to wake Yin Jian up. She quickly carried Xiao Yunju back to the room, and went to Dong Ruan's room, to search for all the keys to the villa. Yin Jian's bedroom. Hearing Qin Yiru's footsteps running out, she blushed. Qin Yiru had gone to look for the key, which meant that the door would be unlocked later, even if she stayed in bed without making a sound. Get up now! Yin Jian sat up and pushed Siyi hard. In spite of it, Siyi refused to let go of her like he was made of steel. No, he uttered slowly with his chin pressed against Yin Jian's head. Siyi had rushed back to an Han group in a hurry, and had Adam send him back to Longmen City with a helicopter in the middle of the night. A permit was required to fly a helicopter in the country, but Adam and Imo-san had already taken care of it. Once he was back in Longmen City, Siyi went home to look for Yin Jian. An Han group had connections in Longmen City as well. A simple check would reveal that Yin Jian and Qin Yiru had returned to Longmen City from Xinjiang town. Leave now. If my mom sees us, we won't be able to clear our names, even if we jump into the Yellow River. Yun Jian sat up straight while Ce pressed against her. She nudged Ce, but Ce was unmoved. Isn't that perfect? Ce arched a brow, looking devilishly charming under the moonlight. But to Yun Jian's eyes was looking like he was asking for a beating. You're not leaving? Our relationship ends here then. Yun Jian threatened softly with a twitch of her lips, but it was obvious that she was not serious. And here? Xiao Jian, you're mine for the rest of your life. Do you still want to escape from me? Ce hooked Yun Jian onto the bed and pounced on her. Qin Yuru's footsteps came from the door. It was obvious that she had found the key to the room. Ce was pouncing on Yun Jian on the bed like he was on top of her. Yun Jian's eyes widened as she raised her leg to kick Ce, only to be held down by his thigh. Xiao Jian, if you move again, I'll make you mine completely right now, Ce said softly, his breathing heavier. Ce and Yun Jian's movements were soft, so Qin Yuru, who was outside the door, could not hear them at all. Qin Yuru had already inserted the key into the lock in a panic. Chapter 594. Qin Yuru opened the door and walked into the house, sensing an unusual aura. She frowned suspiciously, but it was pitch black inside the house. The light from the corridor shone into the house, but it was only a small ray of light. Xiao Jian. Qin Yuru walked over with a frown to switch on the lights. The pure white light illuminated the entire house. Qin Yuru went to the bed and saw Yun Jian was sleeping soundly on the bed. Other than that, there was nothing out of the ordinary. That was impossible. Was Xiao Yunju really mistaken? Qin Yuru did not wake Yun Jian up. Yun Jian's heavy breaths were obvious that she was fast asleep. Only someone who was exhausted during the day would breathe so heavily. So Qin Yuru did not want to wake her up. Qin Yuru stepped back quietly when she saw that Yun Jian was fast asleep. Worried that there was really a thief in the house, she searched the cupboards and other places in the house. Looks like I've been overthinking. Xiao Zhu can be mistaken too. He's still a kid after all. Qin Yuru mumbled to herself softly. She then went to the door to switch off the light switch in the house. Qin Yuru turned to look again, and suddenly realized that the window beside Yun Jian's bed was still open. The curtains fluttered slightly in the chilly winter night breeze. This kid. He even forgot to close the window when he was sleeping. Qin Yuru was satisfied yet helpless. Shaking her head lightly, she stopped turning off the light switch, and went to the window. Qin Yuru did not know that a pair of fair, slender, and well-defined hands were hanging on the wall outside the window. If there was someone outside the mansion, and it was broad daylight, that person would be able to see Ce's 1.85 meters tall frame hanging on the wall with one hand hanging there easily. If there was someone else, they would probably be screaming in fright. Adam and Mo's son would probably be screaming if they saw it. How dare our young master do such a perverted thing for a woman? Qin Yuru felt that the atmosphere was a little strange. She stuck her head out of the window and peered down. When she did not see anyone, she finally closed the door and windows in relief, before switching off the light switch in Yun Jian's room, and locking it after closing the door. She locked it this time because Qin Yuru was afraid that if there was really a thief, the thief would enter Xiao Jian's bedroom, directly from outside the house. What she did not know was that her locking of the door had increased the thief's theft. It was only when Qin Yuru closed the door that Yun Jian woke up from her pretending to be asleep. She realized that Qin Yuru had gone to close the window, while Ce was hiding outside. She thought about it, and got up to find a pair of slippers under the bed to go to the window. Just as she was about to open the window, she remembered that Ce had refused to leave and hugged her tightly. Just when she thought that Qin Yuru was going to find out, he had blinked out of the window. Thinking about it, Yun Jian decided not to let Ce into her room. However, considering that he would catch a cold outside, she could not help shouting out the window worriedly, "Go back to your room quick. See you tomorrow." With that, Yun Jian crawled to her bed in the dark under the moonlight. Just as she did so, she felt the cold wind blowing in from the window behind her. A large and slender figure hugged her instantly. Familiar and alluring words came from behind her. "Xiao Jian, Do you think I can't come in just because you locked the window? Chapter 595. It was just a locked window. It was nothing to CE. Being hugged by CE out of the blue, and pressed down on the bed, her cheeks flushed crimson. Did we do anything just now? Get up, I'm going to sleep. Yunjian pretended that she did not understand anything, but she was already blushing uncontrollably. She blushed like a child who had tasted the forbidden fruit. Yunjian pushed CE away. CE did not make things difficult for her this time. Suppressing his desire, he turned over and held Yunjian's hand, facing her sideways. He kept his eyes on Yunjian. Okay, go to sleep. CE's gentle voice was like the spring breeze in summer, intoxicating and irresistible. This time, Yunjian really closed her eyes. Perhaps it was because she had not been sleeping soundly recently after wiping out the Inferno ring. Or perhaps it was because too many things had happened recently. Yunjian fell into a deep slumber peacefully under CE's gaze. While she was fast asleep, Yunjian could still feel CE's firm embrace. His embrace was so warm that it gave her a feeling of being enveloped in fresh air, making her feel extremely relaxed. Xiaojian. Yunjian could still hear his gentle voice calling her nickname in her dreams. After Yunjian fell asleep, CE did not. Extending his long bony fingers, he only touched Yunjian's forehead gently after making sure that she was sound asleep. He slid his hand from Yunjian's forehead down to Yunjian's neck and collarbone. Then, his hand moved up from Yunjian's collarbone to the left side, and finally cupped Yunjian's head. His large frame leaned in and finally, he caught Yunjian's luscious red lips. His magnetic lips gently brushed against Yunjian's beautiful lips. I really want to rub you into my body, so that you won't leave me for the rest of your life. CE's slender fingers gently ran through Yunjian's hair. He murmured softly, his eyes filled with deep love. The next morning, Yunjian woke up at 7:30 a.m. After she got up, she rubbed her forehead and stood up. CE was no longer by her side, leaving only his faint, fresh scent on the bed. It was faint, but it smelled good. Every time he slept beside her, Yunjian would always wake up very late. Yunjian moved a little, and then stood up. She tidied up the creases in her clothes, and then stood up to open the door. Usually, Yunjian woke up at 6 o'clock at the latest. She usually woke up at 4 o'clock, went out for a morning run around 5 o'clock, and came back around 6 o'clock. 7:30 a.m. was already very late for Yunjian. Just as Yunjian came downstairs, she saw a towel hanging on her brother Yunyi's shoulder. It was obvious that he had just come back from working out. Although it was winter, Yunyi was so hot that he was only wearing a t-shirt that exposed his muscular arms. Ever since Yunyi practiced with Yunjian and Zhang Xiaofeng, he had never stopped. Xiaojian, call me when you're leaving later, Yunyi said and went up the stairs wiping his sweat. Yunjian answered. Yunyi was, of course, referring to Qingyu's New Year visit. It was then that Xiao Yunju's voice came from the door. See, Gij, there are so many lollipops and snacks. Are they all for Xiaozhu? Chapter 596. Ce and Xiao Yunju walked into the house with a few people following behind them. These people were obviously movers, and at this moment, they were moving box after box of packaged snacks from outside into the house. Yunjian was familiar with the last person to walk in. Wasn't this the owner of the store in Xinjiang town? Yunjian immediately recalled the scene on New Year's Day when Ce bought everything in the store in Xinjiang town in front of everyone. He had emptied the store of all the items. At that time, Ce had handed a bank card to the owner and asked him to pack up everything in the store and send it home. He would then return the bank card to him. Clearly, the owner had fulfilled his promise and sent all the things in the store over in trucks today. The items that the owner sent over were all snacks. Some daily necessities and other miscellaneous items in the store were not sent over. The owner walked into the house and checked the items. Then, under Xiao Yunju's expectant gaze, he returned the bank card to Ce and said to Ce, I've already spent the money. I won't charge you even if you pay me 10 times the price. I only want the retail price. I, Old Wang, am upright and honest. I've always been magnanimous. I don't want more money from you. Also, I don't think you guys need the other things in the store, so I didn't pack them all up. These snacks should be enough to last you for a while. The owner explained. Actually, when CE said that he wanted to buy everything in the store for 10 times the price, the owner was very shocked. However, the owner was never someone who liked to take advantage of others. He did not want more money from CE. Okay. CE admired the owner's integrity. He did not poke at the owner's integrity and took back the bank card. After the owner sent the piles of snacks over, he did not stay for long and left after saying goodbye. When the shop owner left, he took away the movers who came to move the things. Once the owner left, Xiao Yunju shouted happily, "Oh, yay yay yay, so many lollipops, so many potato chips, brother CE is the best." Xiao Yunju shook CE's hand and rushed to the snacks. "You can't eat too much snacks, they're not nutritious. Xiao Zhu, you can only eat 3 things a day. You can't skip the main course just because you have snacks." Yin Jian couldn't help but remind him. Okay. Yin Zhu hugged the 3 packets of chips in his arms obediently and nodded, shaking them up and down. In fact, Xiao Yunju was very obedient. "It's time for breakfast. Wash your hands. Breakfast is ready." Qin Yuru walked out of the kitchen while rubbing her hands. However, as soon as she walked out, Qin Yuru was surprised by the boxes of snacks in front of her. Ah, so many snacks. Who bought them? Qin Yuru was shocked. Mama Qin Ce, Gij bought them for me. Xiao Yunju had already opened a bag of chips and was chewing on them noisily. You're spending money again. Look at these snacks. Xiao Zhu can't finish them all. Qin Yuru smiled awkwardly. Qin Yuru did not know that Ce had bought everything in Xinjiang town, nor did she know about the relationship between Ce and Yun Jian, which was why she felt awkward. After all, Xiao Yunju was part of her family and Ce had done so much for him. Chapter 597. Qin Yuru was dumbfounded when Ge Junjian arrived. That was odd. Why was it that Officer Ge did not have much to do in the military? Why did he keep coming to her house? In spite of it, Qin Yuru kept a smile on her face. Since he was a guest, she could not chase him away. "We haven't started yet. Come over quickly, Officer Ge." Yun Jian waved with squinted eyes. Ge Junjian knew that Yun Jian was creating an opportunity for him right away. So he went over quickly and said politely, "Then I'll have to trouble you." Qin Yuru, who had yet to make a decision, was speechless. It was only when Qin Yuru snapped out of it that she ran to the kitchen to get another set of cutlery for Ge Junjian. Then the group buried themselves in the food. Yun Jian and her family were basically silent during the meal. After breakfast, Yun Jian and Yun Yi were ready to depart to Qin Yu's house to give their New Year's greetings. "Jejia, I want to go to Qin Yu, Jejia's house to play too," Xiao Yunju said with a grin as he rubbed his tummy playfully and burped. "Xiao Jian, if there's nothing else, it's good to bring Xiao Zhu out for a walk. Otherwise he'll be bored staying at home all day," Qin Yuru chimed in. Okay. Yun Jian nodded. She was going to Qin Yu's house to give her New Year's greetings, as well as to have fun. Since she had nothing to do, she could bring Xiao Yunju with her and take him out for a stroll and sightsee. It was because Qin Yu's house was quite far from Longmen City. They had to cross provinces to reach it from Zhe Province's Longmen City. Jejia's the best. Xiao Yunju glanced at Yun Jian with a grin, his face bobbing up and down in delight. "If Xiao Zhu goes, I'll go too," Ce interjected. Her words were irrefutable. Before Yun Jian could say anything, Xiao Yunju, who had been bought over by Ce, laughed and clapped. "Brother Ce is going too. That's great. Awesome." Yun Jian was speechless, but she smiled knowingly. Qin Yuru cleaned up the bowls and chopsticks, and Ge Junjian helped to clean up and carry them to the kitchen. In the end, Qin Yuru reminded Yun Jian good-naturedly, "Xiao Jian, be careful when you guys go out. There are a lot of bad guys out there, don't get fooled." Xiao Yi, you guys are the oldest here. Take good care of Xiao Jian and Xiao Zhu." "Auntie, don't worry. I'll take good care of Xiao Jian and Xiao Zhu." Ce turned to Qin Yuru with a glimmer in his eyes. Ce paused when he said Xiao Jian. The meaning of take care was different. Qin Yuru, on the other hand, did not realize anything. I'm relieved with Ai's promise. Qin Yuru smiled. By the time the bowls and chopsticks were cleared, Yun Jian and her friends had already left. Xiao Yunju even carried a small backpack, saying that they should not forget to do the homework assigned by the school teachers every day even when they were traveling. After Yun Jian and her friends left the house, Qin Yuru filled a basin with water and started mopping the floor. When she saw that Gu Junjian was still there, she suddenly remembered that Xiao Zhu had left as well. Was it not just her and Gu Junjian left under the roof? Just as she thought about it, Qin Yuru accidentally knocked the mop into the basin. With a splash, the water in the basin splashed out. Ah! Qin Yuru yelped in fright and slipped, stepping on the water that had spilled out of the basin, causing her to fall backward. Watch out! Gu Junjian dashed over from a dozen meters away. He was in his 40s, but his physique was still strong. Chapter 598. Ouch! Qin Yuru fell hard on the ground. She had already closed her eyes, waiting for the intense pain when her heavy body landed on the ground. But who would have thought that the moment she landed on the ground, she did not feel any pain at all. It was as if she had fallen on a meat cushion. Meat cushion? Where did this meat cushion come from? Gu Junjian let out a heavy groan from her back. Qin Yuru quickly stood up. Just as she turned around, she saw that Gu Junjian had fallen on the ground and used himself as a meat cushion for her. Her eyes suddenly flashed. She quickly stood up and turned around. Officer Gu, what are you doing? Qin Yuru was shocked. She quickly ran over to help Gu Junjian up. Hey, I'm fine. I'm still healthy. It's not a problem, Gu Junjian said stubbornly. Then he knocked on his back where Qin Yuru was lying on and asked Qin Yuru, "Are you okay? Are you hurt anywhere?" "I am fine," Qin Yuru said and turned around. If Gu Junjian looked carefully, he could even see that Qin Yuru's eyes were filled with tears. Qin Yuru did this because she was touched. Although her son and daughter were filial, they could not stay by her side all the time. Gu Junjian was not related to her, but he would rather protect her than get hurt. Qin Yuru was very touched. Very touched. She even felt that if Yin Gang had treated her 1/10 as well as Gu Junjian, she might have been able to spend the rest of her life with Yin Gang. Don't cry. What's wrong? Gu Junjian naturally realized that Qin Yuru was carrying him. Her tears fell down. He was so shocked that his face froze. He was at a loss. No, it's nothing. Officer Gu, I suddenly thought of my ex-husband. If my ex-husband could be even 1/10 as good as you, I would be willing to spend the rest of my life with him. Qin Yuru's eyes were brimming with tears. Am I that good? I'm not as good as you say. If I were that good, my ex-wife wouldn't have divorced me. Gu Junjian was shocked. Then, he felt a little sad after hearing what Qin Yuru said. Officer Gu, don't talk about yourself like that. In the eyes of us women, you are the best husband. Your ex-wife didn't have foresight. Otherwise, how could she leave you, who is so outstanding? If it were me, I wouldn't leave you even if you beat me to death. Since they had talked about it, Qin Yuru opened her heart and began to talk freely. Then why don't we get married? Gu Yunjian's next words shocked Qin Yuru. Qin Yuru was stunned for 3 seconds. She finally opened her mouth and said blankly, Officer Gu, please don't joke around. Gu Junjian took the opportunity to hold Qin Yuru's hand and said to Qin Yuru, I'm not joking. We're not young anymore. Our children are growing up soon. If you're willing, let's get married and spend the rest of our lives together. If you don't agree, Gu Junjian won't force you. Qin Yuru hesitated when she saw the sincerity in Gu Yunjian's eyes. Alright, I won't force you. Yuru, think about it. Gu Junjian laughed and became serious again. But I'm serious about this. We've been through this before. Even though we haven't known each other for long. I'll wait for your answer. As he spoke, Gu Junjian helped Qin Yuru clean up the water stains on the floor. After he tidied up everything, he bade her farewell and left. Qin Yuru, on the other hand, fell into a deep silence. Honestly, it was not that she did not have feelings for Gu Junjian. Although she and Gu Junjian had not known each other for long, the chemistry between them was unusually good when they chatted with each other. Some people did not need to know each other well, but they were born as if they were old friends who had known each other for decades. Chapter 599. Now that Gu Junjian had divorced his ex-wife, and she was divorced from Yun Gang, there was no way she would reconcile with Yin Gang again. Now that there was such a great opportunity before her, of course, she would not miss it. Qin Yiru was someone who had lived half her life, and could read people's minds. To Yun Gang and the others, she might be a good tool to earn money, but to Gu Junjian, who was in a high position, he would not gain anything from her. It was apparent that Gu Junjian truly had such intentions. Qin Yiru did not think that she was the kind of person who would cling to power. She did not care how high Gu Junjian's position was. She really thought that she could get along well with Gu Junjian. Now that Xiao Jian and Xiao Yi were grown up, their children would have to leave sooner or later. Qin Yiru thought that if she were to find a partner in the future, she would have to find someone who was compatible with Gu Junjian. She could not marry someone she was dissatisfied with. It was undeniable that Qin Yiru wanted to agree to Gu Junjian's suggestion right away. After all, it was not like she had no feelings for Gu Junjian. However, Qin Yiru was afraid that if she agreed, what if Xiao Jian and Xiao Yi did not agree to it? Therefore, Qin Yiru thought that she would ask for Yun Jian and Yun Yi's opinion when they came back. On the other hand, Yun Jian, Yun Yi, and Xiao Yunju had already stepped out of the house. At the same time, F Province's military training camp. Chief Yuan was Gu Junjian and Ai Guoxuan's commanding officer. He was also F Province's commanding officer, so his position was the same as Zhe Province's commanding officers. Currently, in F Province's military training camp, Chief Yuan had gathered Ai Guoxuan and the other captains of the advanced special forces in his office. Officer Yuan, why did you summon us in such a hurry? Is there a secret mission? A tall and muscular man asked Officer Yuan. In this office, Officer Yuan's position was the highest. Ai Guoxuan, who had rushed here after receiving the notice, was rather confused as well. Officer Yuan was standing on the podium. His dark eyes scanned the audience, and then he said in a serious tone, I heard that our F Province's army was also invited to the mission to eliminate the Inferno Ring. Why didn't you join in the end? Who was the one who came to such a conclusion, without consulting me? The group of officers sitting below looked left and right. Ai Guoxuan suddenly stepped forward and said, It's me. He was the one who rejected Yun Jian's invitation and refused to work with Han and Kosha mercenaries. Today, it was most likely that the idiot Gu Junjian had brought his men to work with the unreliable organizations, like Han and Kosha mercenaries. In the end, they were all wiped out, right? In any case, he would rather die than believe that Gu Junjian's army could really wipe out the Inferno Ring. The Inferno Ring has been wiped out. There were 3 batches of men who wiped out the Inferno Ring, Han and Kosha mercenaries. These 2 organizations were powerful, so the people in the underworld had nothing to say. But there was another group that I didn't expect. They were the 10 teams of advanced special forces, led by Zhe Province's Gu Junjian. Right now, Zhe Province's army is famous even internationally, let alone in Z Nation. I heard that our army was invited as well, but you refused to join? Ai Guoxuan. Oh, Ai Guoxuan, how dare you decide on such an important matter without informing me? Chief Yuan pointed at Ai Guoxuan and scolded him. Chapter 600. How is it impossible? Chief Yuan yelled and grabbed a handful of newspapers in front of him, smashing it on Ai Guoxuan's face. Take a good look. Take a good look. Who doesn't know that Inferno Ring has been annihilated? This has caused a huge uproar internationally. Chief Yuan raised his voice. With that, Gu Junjian's military gained a great reputation. Even the key international military forces were throwing a football at Gu Junjian's 10 ASF squads. Even if Gu Junjian's 10 ASF squads were not that powerful, they had participated in the annihilation of Inferno Ring. With such a thing in place, his future was bound to be limitless. This was what Chief Yuan resented. Ai Guoxuan had rejected Yun Jian's invitation for such an important matter. If it were not for Officer Bao who reported it to him, he would probably still be in the dark. AI Guoxuan quickly picked up the newspaper and skimmed through it. His attention was drawn to the bright red words at the top of the page. Shocking. The internationally renowned assassin organization, Inferno Ring, was annihilated by 3 different forces. The eye-catching line of bright red words on the front page made AI Guoxuan's heart skip a beat. Suppressing his shock, AI Guoxuan quickly took the newspaper and read under the bright red words. The officers present could clearly see AI Guoxuan's complexion slowly turning from rosy to pale. How is this possible? Inferno Ring has really been annihilated. AI Guoxuan's hand that held the newspaper trembled violently as he recounted the most terrifying thing in disbelief. The annihilation of Inferno Ring was all because of Yun Jian's words. Yun Jian, on the other hand, was only a member of the Advanced Special Forces. AI Guoxuan, go home and reflect on yourself. Humph. Chief Yuan was pissed off no matter how he looked at AI Guoxuan. He snorted and turned to leave the place. The officers around them avoided AI Guoxuan, like he was the plague, when they saw Chief Yuan scolding AI Guoxuan. Judging from AI Guoxuan's reaction, it was not hard to imagine how the 7 members of Battling Dragons would react when they found out. Yun Jian, she was close to their age, but what was the truth? Her ability was something that none of them could compare to even if they were to combine their abilities together. On the other hand, Yun Jian, who had just left home while holding Xiao Yunju's hand, brought her brother, Yun Yi, and Ce to New Cruise. Yun Jian did not plan to take the bus to Qingyu's house. She planned to drive there. Of course, it would be troublesome if she was caught by the traffic police at her age, without a driver's license. Therefore, Yun Jian decided not to drive herself. She asked Ce to drive. Ce's Lamborghini only had 2 seats. Actually, it was not limited to just 2 seats. There were back seats in his supercar, but the space was smaller, and there was no door at the back. There was only one way to climb to the back seat: step on the front seat and jump to the back. Yun Jian and Xiao Yunju were small in size, so Yun Jian carried Xiao Yunju to the back seat first before hopping onto the back seat herself easily. The back seat was small, but it was enough for Yun Jian and Xiao Yunju. Sis, are we driving to Sis Qingyu's house? Xiao Yunju tilted his head and asked Yun Jian. Chapter 601. Oh! Xiao Yunju bobbed his head and nodded at once. After Ce and Yun Yi got into the driver's seat, Ce started the engine, and the car sped off like a bolt of lightning. Yun Yi was feeling a little uneasy at the moment. He could not help feeling nervous about going to Qingyu's house and meeting her elders. Yun Jian, on the other hand, was looking forward to it. She had never been to Qingyu's house, but she knew the address. Qingyu's house was in Pu Province's Xian City. It was not actually in Xian City, but in the countryside near the mountains in Xian City, a place called Luo Village. It was a very poor and desolate place, but it was Qingyu's home. In her past life, Yun Jian only knew that Qingyu came from the countryside, but she had never been to Qingyu's house. Qingyu was abducted from the countryside. It was said that she was abducted by human traffickers. Qingyu was not young then, and was at the age where she could remember things. Snake. Lizard took a fancy to Qingyu's talent, and taught her the art of poison. Due to her talent, Yun Jian took her in to work for her. When Qingyu was capable, it was not difficult for her to find her home, due to her childhood memories. Before they came, Yun Jian picked out a few items that could be used for New Year's greetings from the pile of snacks sent by the shop owner, and brought them along. These items were not actually worth much. If Qingyu wanted them, she could buy them in bulk with her wealth. In spite of it, Yun Jian knew that the people of Country Z focused on socializing during the new year. Gifts did not need to be expensive as long as there was sincerity. Therefore, Yun Jian did not plan to buy anything that was too expensive. The car took the highway from Longmen City, and drove for 7 to 8 hours before they arrived at Xian City. It was a long journey, and it took a lot of time to travel from Xian City to Luo Village. It was only when they arrived at Luo Village's entrance that Yun Jian shook Xiao Yunju awake. Jie, have we arrived? Xiao Yunju rubbed his round eyes that had just woken up and asked. Yes. Yin Jian nodded and replied. Since she did not know how to get to Qing Yu's house, Yin Jian asked for the house number first. As for Si Yi's Lamborghini, it was parked at the entrance of Luo Village. Luo Village was not rich. The roads in Luo Village had not been paved yet. Not to mention cement roads, there were potholes everywhere. It was not suitable for driving at all. I don't know where her house is. Let's follow the house number, Yin Jian said as she picked up a box of instant noodles. In this day and age, there were only a few kinds of New Year's gifts: a box of drinks or a box of instant noodles. Rich people would give pecans, and even richer people would give tortilla. Yin Jian's petite body had just picked up the box of instant noodles when a pair of fair, bony hands stopped her and directly took the box of instant noodles from Yin Jian's arms with one hand. I'll do it. Si Yi's pleasant voice rang out. He then carried the box of instant noodles with one hand and grabbed Xiao Yunju, who had just woken up, with the other, heading to Luo Village without a word. Yin Jian smirked. Seeing that her brother Yin Yi was also heading to Luo Village with a box of Wangzai milk, she quickly followed. Yin Jian did not know the exact location of Qing Yu's house. She only found it after asking a few passers-by. It was already 5 o'clock. The sun was setting in the west and dusk was approaching. When they found Qing Yu's house, she was squatting in front of a rundown house, sitting on a stool by the door and washing clothes with her delicate hands. She knew how to enjoy life. She was rich, but she came to a place like this to work hard. Yin Jian narrowed her eyes. She stood between two tall silhouettes and was about to lead Yin Yi and Si Yi there. A group of young boys and girls suddenly walked out of Qing Yu's house. In the middle of the group stood a young girl who looked 90% similar to Qing Yu. Chapter 602. As soon as the girl who resembled Qing Yu finished speaking, the group of young men and women around them burst into laughter. Qing Yu, who was washing clothes at the front yard, was unmoved. The girl was none other than Qing Yu's biological sister from the same father and mother, Lu Qi. Qing Yu's original name was Lu Xian. Before she was abducted, Qing Yu was only her code name. When Yin Jian saw Qing Yu, she was still washing a big basin of clothes at the front yard. The basin was filled with clothes, and there was a washboard beside it. Qing Yu was currently washing a piece of clothing. All four of them could hear Lu Qi's voice. With a frown, Yin Jian led the trio over to her side in quick strides. Get her out. Get out of our house. Get out of our house. It's all her fault that Mom died. It's all her fault. If she wasn't playful back then, she wouldn't have been abducted. Mom wouldn't have died. Yin Jian and the rest were already at the front door when furious curses came from the house. Then a young man of about 18 or 19 ran out of the house. There was an old man in his 50s or 60s following behind him. The old man dragged the young man who had just cursed out sorrowfully, limping out while tugging on the young man's sleeve. Yin Jian's eyes glinted. She did not know much about Qing Yu's family. Qing Yu had only found her home in the recent 2 years. After she found her home, Qing Yu would return home during every festival, but she would return to the kosher mercenaries soon. Yin Jian did not know much about her, and it was her first time at Qing Yu's house, so she was surprised to see this. Dad, your leg hasn't recovered yet. How can you walk? Qing Yu saw the old man tugging on the young man's sleeve as he ran out. She stood up and went to the old man without a word. The old man was none other than Qing Yu's biological father, Lu Tai. He was an authentic farmer. Luo Village had no other source of income. Most of the villagers here relied on nature for a living. They would farm and plow the land. After the harvest, they would sell it for money. Scram, I don't need your hypocrisy. The young man suddenly pushed Qing Yu away and scolded her. Qing Yu was pushed hard. She was used to her steady gait and did not fall to the ground, but her heart felt like it was being pricked by needles. My Xiao Xian, Qing Yu's biological father Lu Tai, wiped away his tears and walked to Qing Yu. Brother, I'll call uncle over to judge. This kind of person still dares to stay in our house. Umph. Lu Qi spat at Qing Yu and said to the young man. Then, she gathered her friends and ran out to look for them. The young man who had cursed earlier was Qing Yu's biological brother, Lu Ziyun. Qing Yu had 3 children. Lu Ziyun was the elder brother. Lu Qi was the elder sister, and Lu Xian was Qing Yu's real name. Lu Tai was Qing Yu's biological father, while Qing Yu's biological mother was no longer alive. Qing Yu was disobedient when she was young. She insisted on going out to play, because she was about 7 to 9 years old then. She wanted to play hide and seek with her mother, but was abducted. Qing Yu's mother saw Qing Yu being abducted into a van. By the time she chased after them, the van had already driven away. Since then, Qing Yu's mother had lost her appetite for food and became haggard. As a mother, Qing Yu's mother and Lu Tai had never given up on searching for their lost daughter. Chapter 603. After Qing Yu went missing, her parents had spent almost all of their fortune to find her. They were poor, but Lu Tai and his wife, who was Qing Yu's mother, had never given up on searching for their missing daughter. Those who had not experienced it would never be able to understand. Seeing a living person disappear forever in his own world, knowing that she was still alive, but there was no one to respond to his cries. The feeling was even worse than knowing that she was dead, especially if you were captured by human traffickers. You would never know where you would be taken, and what you would be done after being captured by human traffickers. Children from Luo village were often abducted. Some might even be taken into the car and driven away. Some of the children who were taken away would have their limbs chopped off, or even their eyes gouged out, making them half-crippled. Then, the traffickers would put the crippled children in a lively market, and make up a series of stories, so that passers-by would take pity on the crippled children, and give them money to them. The children would grow up gradually. Many of the elderly and children begging in the market could not speak, and were controlled by the human traffickers. Of course, the pitiful money from begging on the streets would eventually be taken away by the despicable human traffickers. However, if one saw these poor children or elderly on the streets, one must lend a helping hand, because 1 yuan or 5 yuan might save them from a brutal beating. This kind of thing happened frequently even in modern times, let alone in 1998 and 1999. What was different was that Qing Yu was abducted directly to the organization. She was lucky enough to survive, and was chosen by Snake Lizard instead. She survived due to her talent. Of course, there were only a handful of people who were as lucky as Qing Yu. When Qing Yu's mother heard that someone in the village had seen a girl who looked like Qing Yu kneeling on the road in Xian City, begging blindly, as a mother, she rushed to Xian City without a word. She did not even inform Qing Yu's father Lu Tai about it. It was still night then. The sky was dark and it was raining. When she reached Xian City, Qing Yu's mother accidentally stepped on a construction site of a sewer in her haste. The construction workers probably thought that no one would walk around at night, so they did not even put up a warning sign. In the end, Qing Yu's mother lost her footing and fell because she was in a hurry. By the time he was fished up again, he was already cold. Lu Ziyun and Lu Qi hated their little sister to the core. She had lost her mother at such a young age, and had died just like that. It was not long before Qing Yu came back in one piece. How could he not be angry? How could he not hate him? Scram! Get lost! Get lost! Get lost! Now that our family is living well, why did you come back? How could she have the face to come back? Wasn't it enough that he killed his mother? Do you want to kill my dad too? Lu Xian, get lost. You don't deserve to be surnamed Lu. Lu Ziyun's emotions were raging as he pointed at Qing Yu and scolded. Unlike Lu Qi, Lu Ziyun's relationship with his mother was the deepest. Lu Ziyun scolded Qing Yu because his mother's death was indirectly related to Qing Yu. Lu Qi hated Qing Yu as well, but the main reason she hated her was because she was afraid that Qing Yu would come back and steal her brother and father's love from her. The more Lu Ziyun spoke, the more resentful he felt. His face was flushed, and he reached out to slap Qing Yu. Qing Yu did not resist. If one looked closely, her eyes were already wet. Chapter 604. Lu Ziyun's hand that was about to slap Qing Yu's cheek was stopped by Yun Jian. His expression was sour. Ce and the other 2 girls had come over as well. Ce held Xiao Yunju with one hand, and placed the box of instant noodles on the floor with the other. Yunyi placed the Wangzai milk on the floor as fast as he could. His brows were locked in a frown, having heard how Lu Ziyun and Lu Qi had spoken to Qingyu. How could Yunyi not be pissed when the person he missed was standing right in front of him, and she was crying? Yunyi went over and stood in front of Qingyu, blocking Lu Ziyun's path. "And who are you?" Lu Ziyun's tone turned haughty when he saw Yun Jian out of the blue. Lu Ziyun gave off the vibe of a hooligan to begin with. Not to mention, there was a tattoo on his collarbone. Combined with the tattoo below his collarbone, it wasn't hard to tell that his tattoo was a dragon. Lu Ziyun was already 18 or 19 years old, but he had quit school long ago. Now he was in Xian City's underworld, working with gangs and earning some money. Although Lu Ziyun looked like a gangster, he was not such a person to begin with, nor was he such a degenerate. Ever since his mother passed away in an accident, however, he had become what he was today. Lu Tai's hair had already turned white. After his youngest daughter, Lu Xian, went missing, he and his wife had been searching for her day and night. At the same time, they had to rely on their meager income to survive. His eldest son had fallen since his mother passed away, and even picked up some bad habits. His eldest daughter was the only one who was somewhat obedient. Ever since his wife passed away, Lu Tai had not been living a peaceful life until today. It was then that his youngest daughter came back on her own. Here came the dilemma. He could forgive his youngest daughter for her ignorance when she was young, but his son and eldest daughter would not agree. What could Lu Tai do? As the child's parent, he was the most troubled. Sister Jian. Qingyu could no longer hold back the tears in her eyes when she saw Yun Jian, and Yunyi who suddenly appeared in front of her to shield her. Even Qingyu, a high-ranking member of the kosher mercenaries, who could still stand calmly in front of Yun Jian and call them impudent, when facing the group of old men from the kosher mercenaries earlier, could not resist the friction of kinship. "Don't cry, we're here." Yunyi suddenly turned around. He reached out to gently wipe away the tears at the corner of Qingyu's eyes. Qingyu nodded. Actually, Qingyu was already immune to the way Lu Ziyun and the others treated her. She knew that this was her own fault for being disobedient when she was young, and she should bear the consequences. Hence, Qingyu had never retaliated against Lu Ziyun's scoldings and beatings. Her biological mother had also died because of her. Qingyu was not a heartless person. However, when she saw Yun Jian and Yunyi standing in front of her, especially when Yun Jian stood in front of her and said, "She's mine. How dare you hit her?" Qingyu could not hold back her tears and they fell. "I don't *king care who you are. This is my family's business anyway. You outsiders are not allowed to butt in." Lu Ziyan guffawed. Ce was standing on the side, holding the hand of Xiao Yunju who was shaking his head in bewilderment, but he did not say anything. It was not appropriate for him to intervene in such matters. Chapter 605. Other than his younger sister, Yun Jian, and his mother Qin Yiru, this was the first time Yunyi had cursed for a woman. Yunyi had always been an excellent student. Whether it was in Xinjiang Town or DE Senior High School, he had always been a model student in his teachers' hearts. He had good grades, treated others sincerely, and was polite to others. However, he had broken his bottom line to protect Qingyu from being bullied. If Yunyi's best friend, Su Haokol, was here, he would probably be screaming in shock. After all, Yunyi's usual personality had changed for Qingyu's sake. What? Lu Ziyun's finger, that was pointing at Qingyu, retracted immediately. He could not believe that Qingyu had a man now. How old was she? Lu Xian. You have a man now. How old are you now? You're still in junior high. You're with a man. I say, why did you only stay here for a few days before leaving? So you ran away with a man. Off to live a good life. You despise our family now, don't you? Father and mother missed you so much that they couldn't even eat and drink. What about you? Why didn't you come back when you could? You killed my mother. You harmed our whole family. Why did you come back now? Scram. There's no such person in the Lu family. Scram. Lu Ziyan had completely misunderstood as he roared again. This time, he was even harsher to Qingyu. Actually, Lu Ziyan had misunderstood something from the beginning. He hated Qingyu for insisting that his mother bring her out to play, but she was about to be abducted. That was fine. It was not unforgivable. Lu Ziyan remembered clearly that when Qingyu came back, she was dressed neatly and tidily. She did not look like she had been abducted by human traffickers at all. Lu Ziyan did not hate Qingyu so much earlier. After all, she was still young when she was abducted. Lu Ziyun's hatred was because Qingyu was dressed neatly when she came back. His mother had been so worried about finding Qingyu and his younger sister, who had been abducted at such a young age, that she did not even eat or drink. In the end, she accidentally fell into the sewer that was still under construction and drowned. What about Qingyu? She came back clean and tidy, clean and tidy. She did not look like she had been through any hardships. This time, Lu Ziyan was thoroughly enraged. Since she was alive and well, living a lively life, unlike other abducted children who were missing arms and legs, why didn't they find her earlier? Why did they not come back earlier? If he had found her earlier, then his mother wouldn't have died. He wouldn't have gone to Xian City to look for her in the middle of the night, just because he heard a rumor from the villagers. In the end, he tripped on a construction site and fell into the sewers and drowned. That was why Lu Ziyan was filled with hatred. He hated the fact that Qingyu had destroyed his entire family after being abducted while she returned safely. Humans had emotions. To be honest, Lu Ziyan had never hated Qingyu even when his mother died, because he knew that his sister was innocent. He knew that she had no choice when she was abducted. However, when Qingyu came back, she was dressed neatly. He asked her where she had been all these years, but she did not say a word. Thus Lu Ziyan was enraged. He hated this sister of his to the core. Just by looking at Qingyu's attire, Lu Ziyan naturally thought that she had been enjoying herself all these years, or that she had been adopted by a rich family. In short, he thought that she had never suffered. Chapter 606. Yunyi held Qingyu's hand gently. Qingyu's hands were shaking uncontrollably. Whether it was Qingyu, Yunjian, or Ce and Yunyi who were present, all of them could hear it. Lu Ziyan hated Qingyu. He probably hated that she had been enjoying herself all these years. He hated that she was enjoying life while they were at home, worried that she would suffer outside. In the end, his mother had died searching for Qingyu. What about Qingyu? Their entire family was worried about their younger sister's life. Qingyu, on the other hand, was enjoying life outside while nothing changed when she returned. To Lu Ziyan, however, he had lost his mother, his most beloved mother. Perhaps Lu Ziyan was not wrong to think so. If she were to put herself in Lu Ziyan's shoes, the mother he loved the most had left him forever because of his long-lost younger sister. Perhaps it was not a hopeless situation, but the worst part was that his younger sister had suddenly returned one day. She was dressed to the nines when she returned, but refused to tell where she had been all these years. Under such circumstances, other than the fact that she had been enjoying life for so many years and only returned home because she missed home, what else could it be? Stop it! Stop it! Xiaoyan, for Dad's sake, please stop it! Lu Tai stretched out his hand, his face paralyzed in pain. To Lu Tai, his wife was the love of his life, but because of his younger daughter, they were separated by life and death. However, he did not resent it because his younger daughter was his own flesh and blood. How could he feel good when he saw how his son treated his younger daughter? Eldest uncle, second uncle, youngest uncle, this is the place. She has enjoyed her life outside, and now she wants to go home. My mother must have died in vain. At this time, Lu Qi had returned with a large group of people. Other than the group of teenagers who had come to watch the show, there was also a group of adults who had followed Lu Qi back. Most of the adults were Lu Tai's relatives. Most of the relatives and friends in the countryside were from the countryside. Very few of them had left the countryside. There was only one way to leave the countryside in this era: get into a university and get a decent and stable job in the future. Therefore, when Lu Qi ran out and shouted, all the relatives who were working in the fields came to the house. In particular, the villagers were united. A group of people immediately threw down their hoes and ran over before plowing the land. What happened? What's the matter? A middle-aged man who was standing at the front stepped forward arrogantly. "Uncle, she's my younger sister Lu Xian, whom I brought home not long ago. Look at what she's wearing. She must have enjoyed a good life all these years. My mother passed away while looking for her, but she's living a good life all these years. Now that she's back, she's begging for our forgiveness." Lu Qi glared at Qingyu with hatred. Qingyu opened her mouth, chilling her heart in front of this group of relatives who were originally close to her, but were now glaring at her menacingly. "I didn't." In the end, Qingyu could only utter such words. "You're still denying it? Then why don't you tell me where you went after you were abducted? Other than enjoying life, what else can I do to you?" Lu Qi pointed at Qingyu, unforgiving. Lu Ziyan glared at Qingyu with the same hateful gaze. Lu Tai's pained expression broke Qingyu's heart. These were her relatives. "Shut up, all of you. None of you have the right to talk about her like that," Yin Jian reprimanded loudly. Her loud voice shocked everyone present. "Don't have the right? How was she unworthy? She was just going to enjoy life." "Humph." Lu Qi continued through clenched teeth. Yin Jian was enraged now. She had Yin Yi step back while she walked to Qingyu. She pulled Qingyu's delicate hand and showed everyone her arm that was covered in scars that should have been smooth and fair. "Enjoy life? Ha! This is the first time I've heard that someone would be covered in scars while enjoying life." After exposing her arm, Yun Jian turned Qingyu around. She did not expose Qingyu's body as she tore her clothes from her back to reveal her back that was covered in scars and bruises. Scars from knives and spears were all over Qingyu's back. The new and old scars were mixed together, a ghastly sight. Chapter 607. "Come to think of it, you guys don't deserve this blessing," Yun Jian said, her deep gaze scanning the crowd. With that, she pulled the corner of Qingyu's shirt down to cover her back again. Yun Jian did not want to do anything, but she could not bear to watch Lu Ziyan and the others misunderstand Qingyu and watch her suffer, but unable to voice out her pain. Did she not know what was on Qingyu's mind? Of course, Qingyu dared not say it out loud. Was she going to say that she took so long to come back because she only had the capability now? Was it because she dared not come back? Qingyu had some influence and status in the world. Of course, the stronger one was in this world, the more enemies they had. If Qingyu came home before she was capable enough, Lu Tai, Lu Ziyan, and the others would probably be killed by the people in this world. It was because Qingyu did not have the ability to protect them at that time. How did this happen? Yuni was shocked by Qingyu's exposed scars as well. It was not because of her scars, but because his heart ached at the sight of so many scars on Qingyu's body. Yuni had been naked with Qingyu before, but Yuni dared not look at her directly. Moreover, most of Qingyu's scars were on her back. There were wounds on her arms too, but not many. Therefore, it was Yun Yi's first time seeing so many scars. Yi did not look at Qingyu's back just now. In his eyes, other than his Xiao Jian, no other woman could catch his eye. He didn't even bother to look at her. Lu Tai was still lingering on the edge of pain and grief. To Lu Tai, his wife's death was a heavy blow. Now that his daughter was back, he was happy, but other than that, it was not like he did not feel anything. Lu Tai was a human being as well. If he were to put himself in his shoes, his closest and most important person had passed away in search of his daughter, who had been missing for years. In the end, his daughter came back a few years later, wearing branded clothes. It was obvious that she had not suffered much. When he asked her where she had been, she clenched her teeth and refused to say anything. Lu Tai would overthink as well. But the only difference between him and Lu Ziyan was that he would empathize with Qingyu. He would always think that Qingyu had her reasons. He would never believe that his own daughter would do something like that, to enjoy life on her own, and only come back when she was homesick. As it turned out, Qingyu did have her reasons. When Yun Jian exposed the scars on Qingyu's body, everyone present, they were shocked. The scars on Qingyu's back were so densely packed that it sent chills down one's spine just by looking at them. The scars on her back, around her heart, stab wounds after stab wounds to show how much she had tried her best to crawl from the brink of death and survive. Everyone's too What kind of person was he to be able to survive the ordeal of receiving so many fatal injuries? How old was Qingyu? How much willpower did she rely on to not choose to die right away? How much inhumane treatment did she have to endure? Tears welled up in Lu Tai's old eyes. He opened his mouth and limped toward Qingyu, wobbling. It was a long time before he managed to speak. My Xiao Exane. How did this happen? My child, you've suffered. Tears streamed down his face as he spoke. Dad. For some reason, Qingyu felt like crying today. She had been in an assassin training camp and had been baptized as an assassin. All of this was before she met Yin Jian. She had been shot and stabbed. Which time did she not grit her teeth and persevere through it? When had she ever shed a tear? Chapter 608. Qingyu hugged Lu Tai tightly. This was the warmth of kinship, the dissolution of misunderstandings. Qingyu was comforted after despair and regret. She could feel that although Lu Tai had resented her before, Lu Tai would not hate her, because he was her father. Good child, you've suffered. Lu Tai's eyes were tear-stained, showing his age. Yin Jian smiled, but there was a trace of bitterness in it. Had she not gone through the same thing? How could she not understand Qingyu's pain? Her body before she was reborn had suffered more injuries than Qingyu. Qingyu had only stayed in the assassin training camp for a few months, before she was taken away by Snake Lizard. These few months were hell on earth. Yun Jian, on the other hand, had survived for 6 to 7 years in the assassin training camp with her own abilities. It was only when she was 12 that she officially debuted as slaying god. Before that, the assassin training that she had gone through was unimaginable to a normal person. The winner was king while the loser was a bandit. This was reflected in the assassin's training. If you were weak, you could only die. Among the hundreds of children, those who survived these 6 to 7 years could be counted with one hand. Yin Jian was the strongest among the 5 who survived. She was the pinnacle of her ability. Yin Jian only found out later that she had lost her parents and only had her younger brother. If she had parents, she would have gone back to them like Qingyu. Her predicament back then might have been worse than Qingyu's. However, when Yun Jian in her past life returned home, her parents had already passed away, leaving only her younger brother Yin Zhu. As Yin Jian pondered, Yinyi stood aside with clenched fists. He swore that he would never let Qingyu suffer again. He had to become stronger and protect her. However, Lu Zi and Lu Qi, the group of young men and women that Lu Qi had brought along, including the relatives that Lu Qi had called over, were all rooted to the spot in shock when they saw Qingyu's scar. They didn't make a sound, didn't speak because they were stunned. Lu Ziyun in particular was rooted to the spot. Lu Ziyun hated Qingyu, but it was not because she had been abducted by human traffickers when she was young. He hated it because his mother had died because of Qingyu and Qingyu had returned in all her glory, as if she had enjoyed enough, and had returned to beg for forgiveness. Lu Ziyun admitted that his thoughts had been extreme because of his mother's death. However, when all the misunderstandings were cleared, his heart still ached. Lu Ziyun had memories of Qingyu before she was abducted. She was his biological sister after all. His mother was his dearest family, and so was his sister. He still remembered that his mother had once said that apart from his parents, his 2 younger sisters were his closest relatives. Now that he saw Qingyu suffering so many injuries, his heart was pained as well. A person's heart was complicated. When he saw Qingyu's back that was filled with scars, Lu Ziyun could not bring himself to harden his heart. He walked slowly toward Qingyu but paused before asking, Lu Xian, what have you been doing all these years? Why did you injure yourself all over? There was an obvious change in Lu Ziyun's attitude. Of course, it was impossible for him to change completely after so many years of not seeing Qingyu and being used to treating her fiercely. Qingyu wiped away her silent tears, still hesitating if she should say it out loud. Chapter 609. The truth was that Lu Qi and her friends who did not look like good people shuddered when they saw the scars all over Qingyu. To be able to endure such a heavy injury was indeed not something that an ordinary person could endure. Yet what was the point? From Lu Qi's perspective, her younger sister's return was to steal her brother and father's love. Since Qing Yu's return, her father, Lu Tai, had given her all the good food, treating her like a treasure, afraid that she would hurt herself. In fact, the reason Lu Tai treated Qing Yu so well was because he still felt guilty that his daughter had suffered a lot even after she had been abducted by human traffickers for so many years. He did not take good care of her back then. Lu Qi actually had no feelings for his younger sister, Qing Yu, at all. After all, Lu Qi was only a little over 10 years old when Qing Yu was abducted. She was only a year older than Qing Yu. A little over 10 years old was the age where one could remember things. From Lu Qi's perspective, her mother and father had always doted on her since she had a younger sister, giving her all the good food and toys when she was young. To be honest, Lu Qi had hated Qing Yu since she was young. It was also due to this reason that she did not feel upset when she found out that Qing Yu was abducted. Instead, she was secretly happy. Now that her younger sister was abducted, she could receive all the love from her parents. Reality proved this. After Qing Yu, who was also Lu Xian, was abducted, Lu Qi's parents doted on Lu Qi even though they had lost their appetite. It was because Lu Tai and his late wife realized that it was their fault for letting their younger daughter be abducted. Therefore, the only reason they insisted on staying alive was to take good care of their other daughter and their son. Lu Qi grew up under her parents' care. Although Luo village was a rural village, and its economic development was backward, Lu Tai had never let his daughter and son suffer at all. Lu Ziyan had fallen from grace ever since his mother had passed away. Lu Tai had endured all these hardships with tears in his eyes. His wife was gone. If he were to degenerate as well, how could this family survive? When Qing Yu appeared, Lu Qi immediately felt that her father's love for her was threatened. Lu Tai took good care of her younger sister, who seemed to have suffered for years outside, even giving her things to her long-lost sister. This made Lu Qi think that Qing Yu had returned to snatch away her happiness. Xiaoqi, shut up. How can you say such things? In fact, Lu Ziyan's heart ached when he saw the wound on Qing Yu's back. He could not help but growl at Lu Qi when he heard what Lu Qi said. Qing Yu Qing was his younger sister no matter what, his biological sister. Furthermore, Lu Ziyan had a long memory. He remembered the past between him and his little sister. There were feelings. Even when he had yelled at Qing Yu to get lost, Lu Ziyan had never insulted Qing Yu with words that could easily be misunderstood in front of everyone. Lu Qi's to say that Qing Yu, you're not innocent. Among the children who were abducted by human traffickers, some of the beautiful girls would be abducted and become prostitutes at a young age, earning money by accompanying customers. This had happened many times in Luo village. Was this not what Lu Qi was referring to when she said that Qing Yu was involved in an illegal business? Anyone with a discerning eye would know that. Lu Ziyan was displeased with Qing Yu before, but after seeing the scars on Qing Yu's back, he began to change. That was why he yelled at Lu Qi to shut up. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.